So if we just acquired a business and paid a premium to buy that account, and 6 months later, Amazon comes back and says, we're doing Black Hat 2 years ago and they're shutting down our account, we're going to have a major problem with our company and with our investors. So that's why people have been doing Black Hat. Your business is less exitable. So that's really the question. Yeah, hope that answers the question, Bob.
No, that's a great answer. It's a great answer. Okay, I've got Kahan here. I'm probably killing that name, but he says, we are planning to sell, receiving several offers. We do not have much experience in selling the business at all, so we will love to have current presentation. Is that somebody you would like to talk to? Somebody that's thinking about doing it and has maybe some offers already? Reach out to you at rob@elevatebrands.com. What do you recommend?
Yeah, definitely. So if you're thinking about selling, definitely contact us. I think some basic principles. The sale process is not as complicated as people think. And I think the easiest way for you to manage it is get multiple offers. We're not going to say Elevate Brands is the only show in town, but other people out there who are also buying FBA business. So our view is speak to 2 or 3 people, get them, if you're comfortable with the counterparty and think they're a good person who could acquire the business. And again, that comes to those things. Are they a good operator? Do you trust them? But if you think you found a bunch of buyers like that, ask them each for an offer, provide them the information they need, get them to submit a proposal, and then you can kind of assess what you think is a strong offer and what is a weak offer. So obviously we'd love to speak and learn more about your business, provide advice on the process. And we can also give you a proposal offer for the business. We can compare that against what you've received from other people. And I think if you do that, we're happy to kind of hold people's hand and guide them through the due diligence and getting the transaction completed in kind of a seamless way that isn't too stressful for you.
Well, I mean, and the reason that Accrumi has this relationship with Elevate Brands is the integrity you guys have, the experience you have, the history, the knowledge, and it's hard to put a price on that kind of thing. And I know a lot of our students and a lot of our Accrumi customers take us, respect what we have to say, and that's why we have this relationship with you. So I love it. And I do think you're the best in the business, by the way. Okay. I have somebody, David is asking, do you look only at buying brand assets or the full business?
So it depends on the situation, but generally the way that acquisitions work is we buy your seller's account. So we buy your seller central account and we transfer the ownership of the account from you to Elevate Brands. And with that will come all the intellectual property with the brand. So the brand registry will come with us, any trademarks you have, any patents you have, the website, the Shopify store, email lists, your supplier relationships in China or the US or Mexico, ever getting the product made. So all those things will come with the business. So generally we don't acquire the company itself, we acquire all the assets of the business, which is the seller central account and all the intellectual property. And the benefit of that is it makes the transaction process very quick because we only buy the assets and it allows us to close these deals in kind of 30 days. So once we have an initial conversation, if we're interested, we provide an LOI proposal. If you agree, within 30 days, we can complete our work and acquire your account and transfer the money into your hands. So it's a very seamless process. But look, every situation is different. So if you have a business that has other assets, like we're happy to discuss, but it's a case-by-case basis. But generally, we just acquire the seller central account and all the intellectual property and inventory attached to that.
Okay, excellent answer. Two other quick ones here. And I've talked with a lot of individuals about this principle, this concept of selling their business. And I get pushback sometimes that they say it's against Amazon's terms and services to sell your Amazon business. How do you get around that?
So in the past, the rules said that you were not allowed to hold more than one seller central account, and that changed in 2000 and I think late 2018. And that's when the model of companies buying up FBA businesses started. So You are now allowed to hold multiple Seller Central accounts, so that's enabled our model, and you are allowed to sell the account. You transfer the ownership. There's nothing we've seen that says that's against terms of service. And
Right.
certainly, there are lots of people now buying accounts and lots of people selling accounts, and you know, there is no issue with that from an Amazon perspective. You know, you need their approval to affect the account transfer. So when we change the owner from you to us, and when we change the bank account from yours to ours, that all requires Amazon approval, and there's no hindrance to that process.
Yeah, and I think what's happening is there's a lot of like anything. There's rumor, there's you know, legend and stuff that's out there that's not current, and that's why it's so critical to be involved with, you know, someone like yourself, Rob, at Elevate Brands and AccrueMe, because we are on the cutting edge of everything that's going on out there. And I just think that's absolutely important. Now, one other thing, we got to get going here. Do you buy businesses, Amazon businesses from all over the world, or are you limited to just the US, or what's your geographic model?
So we've acquired FBA businesses from sellers all over the world. You know, we've acquired sellers who were based in the UK, Hong Kong, Singapore, the US. So there's no geographic constraint on where we are buying accounts from. Generally, we're focused on trying to buy seller accounts that sell on the USA or in North America. So it doesn't matter where you're from in the world. We're happy to speak to you. We're more focused on buying US people, like the US account. So that's kind of answers the question. But if you're based in Pakistan and you're selling on Amazon USA, we're still okay to buy the account. That's not a problem.
Okay, you know what, that is that. And Rob, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's over 30 more questions for you, and we have absolutely run out of time. So I've got to wrap this up. I want to refer everybody. Listen, first off, in the chat box, would you give Rob a big round of applause and just tell him thank you for his time? He is an expert in his field, and we cannot show our gratitude enough to what Rob and Elevate Brands brings to the table for us. But let me refer to his email address, rob@elevatebrands.com. You can go to the website, elevatebrands.com. All of you that did not get your questions answered, it's not that I didn't want to, it's just that we've got a bunch of people lined up here, and we've got to keep it rolling. So Rob, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. And everybody has given you tons and tons of thanks and applause and gratitude and hands up, and you're awesome, bud. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks,
Okay,
Bob.
we'll talk to you later. Now, guys, wow, was that awesome or what? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Let's see if we can pull that back up. Can y'all see my screen? Let me see. All right, there we go. We've got Mark on the screen. I'm going to bring this up here real quickly. I just want to tell you, I am so grateful for the relationship that I have with all of these individuals. They are experts. You know what they say, surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, and it just makes you that much better. And that's one of the reasons that I love to hang out with our next presenter. Mark, he's got, I don't know how much he's going to get into his history, but he is an incredible individual. He's one of the founders of AccrueMe. He is a genius when it comes to business growth. And we are honored to have him here. We are grateful that Mark and AccrueMe have sponsored this event for all of us. Now we're approaching 500 people on here. That's how incredible it is. And Mark, they're from all over the world. And so everybody, let me please welcome Mark. Everybody give him a big round of applause. Mark, your time is now.
Thank you. All right, great. Let me share my screen. Let me see if I can do that here. While other participants is sharing, somebody else is sharing their screen, so I can't share it yet. All right, let me. Did somebody give me the yes, no, maybe?
I've logged off mine, so you should be able to do it. Try it again.
Great. All right. Let's try that again. Let me just see here. Share. All right.
There you go.
Fantastic. There we go.
Good.
All right. If everybody can hear me, I know we had some challenges with audio. I hope my mic is working well. So if you can't hear me, go ahead and just put in the chat room you can hear me, and you
sound
can.
great.
That's perfect. Good.
Yep, you sound great.
Great. All right. I've got a lot of information, exciting information concerning leverage and how to increase your profit and get to a point of exit. A number of you are at a point where you've built your business up and you're ready to exit, and elevate is definitely on your top 5 things to do this week, to contact Jeremy and Bob and get more information. Others of you are looking to get there. You're looking to build and grow and scale your business. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about leverage. And when we talk about leverage, first of all, leverage is one of those things that you absolutely need to have to grow and scale a business properly. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand what leverage is. So leverage, in simple terms, other people's money, OPM. Leverage results from using typically borrowed capital, right? Borrowed money as a funding source when you invest in your business and expand your business. And you're looking at getting a return on capital. So there's a lot of different ways you can use leverage, and there's a lot of different forms of leverage. So let me just, a Crumie is one of those. Some of you are familiar with credit cards, Amazon loans. You've used different types of inventory financing. And so what I want to do is give you a caution, a warning, and a major danger sign, right? Only use leverage, only use OPM if you're confident that it will make you more money. So only use leverage if you're already profitable. I'm going to say that again, write it down. If you're already making money and you're profitable, then definitely use leverage. I'm not suggesting anybody go into debt or max out credit cards or anything like that. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, leverage works. It works to expand your business or expand your debt. So if you've got a poor business model in Amazon and you're losing money and you use leverage, you're going to lose more money. So that's why I say warning, caution, only use OPM if you're confident it will make you more money. Now, most of our sellers, I know with Algo Mas and Pato and Algo and online, a lot of the Crumie customers we get, they're already making money. They're making, whether it's 10% an ROI, 10% a month, or 20%, 30, 40%. Some people making in excess of 60%. So you definitely want to be profitable. So what are the key leverage factors, right, for OPM? Because not all OPM is created equal. First of all, there's collateral. Now, when we talk about collateral, a lot of people that will use leverage are going to get some type of lien on the business. They're going to take some type of collateral. That can be in the form of equity, right? Where you might have to give up a percentage of ownership in your business. That's a form of leverage. That's a form of OPM. You have to give up ownership, maybe a small percentage, a large percentage. It depends. There may be payment requirements. That's a form of leverage. That's a form of OPM. So how do you pay them back? Are you paying them back weekly? I mean, there's a lot of Amazon loans out there that require bi-monthly, bi-weekly, monthly payments. And the challenge with that, with those payments, is you have to really calculate, what does that do to your cash flow? Because if you're making payments every single month, it's coming out of cash flow. And we all know how critical Q4 is coming. And we want to make sure that we preserve cash flow, and we want our money making more money for us, right? So you have to be careful of using OPM. Term, right? Not always, but there's usually a term involved. Could be paid back in 6 months, pay it back in a year. Some of you have mortgages, that's a 30-year, or maybe 50-year or 20-year, 15-year. There's a term, there's a period of time where you have to pay it back. Interest rate. Interest rates are kind of an interesting form of leverage, right? So a lot of people say, well, right now interest rates are, for the most part, at all-time record highs across the board. Sometimes in the Amazon world, and people are paying 17, 18, 19, 20%. And here's my point. If you're paying an interest rate, as long as your ROI is higher than the interest, that's a good thing. If it's lower, that's a bad thing, right? So, an interest rate is typically a form of OPM or leverage. Underwriting criteria. Most people that we're talking about borrowing capital, right? If you're borrowing capital, they're looking at, not only a personal guarantee, but what's the state of the business? How long have you been in business? They're going to pull a Dun & Bradstreet or a credit reporter or some type of, they want to make sure that you're a good credit risk, right? So these are some of the key leverage factors. And the most important thing I really want to point out here is, will you make more money by using different types of leverage? If you use different types of leverage, are you going to make more money? And if you are, then I give you a double thumbs up. That's good, right? Because as a previous speaker said, what Bob was saying is, look, now is a great time. I mean, right now, FBA businesses, a valuable asset now is a great time because of billions of dollars looking to buy existing businesses. That's not always the case. Business capital and capital structures, it's kind of like an ebb and a flow. It's right now, it's a great time. In a couple of years, who knows? All right. So let's take a little bit a look at Accrumi and some of the leverage factors that Accrumi offers you as a seller. All right. So all OPM is not created equal. At Accrumi, collateral, there is no personal guarantee. We do not require a personal guarantee. That's a good thing for you as a seller. Equity, there's no loss of ownership. There's no loss of equity. You still own 100% of your business. Accrumi takes no equity ownership. Payments, real simple. Pay when you want, right? It's like grow now, pay later. And that's very attractive to a lot of people on this Zoom right now, because it gives you the flexibility to not worry about killing your cash flow, especially as you're coming into Q4 and you're going to need to continue to reinvest and roll that capital into the business. Term, there is no set term. And here again, and that's because it's not a loan. With Accrumi, it's not a loan, all right? So unlike a lot of other leverage vehicles out there, a lot of people appreciate Accrumi's flexibility. Interest rate, 0. We don't charge an interest rate. Here again, we're not a loan. I realize this might be the first time you're hearing this. This is what makes it very attractive to Amazon sellers like yourself who are looking to grow and scale their business. Instead, we opt for a small profit share only when it's right for the business. So here again, we take a small profit share, all right, instead of an interest rate. Underwriting criteria, it's 100% based on the business history and the projections. Now, we do require a seller has been successfully operating in the Amazon FBA platform for at least 6 months. So you have to have a 6-month track record. Most of you on this Zoom have that or are exceeding that, right? So we know and we can judge this based upon your business history. You are going to make more money with Accrumi, and that's because Accrumi doesn't make money if you don't. I mean, this is truly a win-win scenario. We only make money when our sellers make money. So unlike a lot of third-party lenders out there, they're getting their payment regardless of whether you're having a good month or a bad month. All right. So let's get into some real examples. And I know a lot of you are going to have some questions. So we'll definitely be doing questions here in a few minutes with Bob. So I want to go ahead and get into some real examples of Accrueme seller partners using leverage to go ahead and grow their account. Now, I'm going to use a couple different examples here. Again, these are real Accrueme clients. They're sellers just like you. The first one is Purple Ocean Products. Now, their selling strategy was FBA wholesale. We invested $37,000. Here again, if you saw the earlier commercial, we invested as little as $10,000 up to $1 million at a time in our sellers. And the length of the investment so far, 9 months. And the thing that's really attractive is the seller has not made a payment to Accrueme in 9 months. In that time, the asset values increased from $33,000 to over $113,000. So imagine that. What's happening is the seller's profit in month one, their net profit was $2,500, and by month 9 it was $13,000. So imagine using our money, Accrueme's money, to make more money. I mean, that sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Pretty attractive. I mean, I'm just curious how your bank or lender or even your brother-in-law would or sister-in-law would handle a, hey, by the way, I'm gonna get money from you, but I'm not gonna pay you back for 9 months, and there's gonna be no monthly payments, and there's no interest. I mean, the reality is there's nobody out there in the Amazon space that's doing what Accrueme does. We have a very unique platform. We have some proprietary software that literally helps you as a seller make more money. So moving right along, 360 Money Electronics. Now, their strategy was private label. So I know some of you in the chat room are going to say, hey, Mark, do you help private label sellers? And the answer is yes, we do. Their seller strategy was private labels. We invested $20,000. The length of investment, 5 months, we're still active with them. Sellers' profit on month 1 was $31.39. Their seller profit after 9 months, $11,294. So no payments made to Accrueme in 5 months. Here again, you choose whether you want to make a payment or not. Here again, because there's no interest and it's a profit share. So people are going to ask the question, Mark, what's the profit share? Net, after you pay all the expenses, you keep 75%. We're entitled to 25%. That's not an interest rate. That's a percent of the net profit after expenses. So keep in mind, you're keeping the lion's share and you're making money with our money, which is a great thing. Last one here that I want to key in on was using retail arbitrage. The seller is known as Hollywood Hustle. That's the name of the company. We invested $11,000. Now here again, this has been going on for 10 months. The seller's profit on month 1, $1,700, and after month 9, $7,200. So these massive profit increases are really only available with someone like Accrueme who's got your best interest in mind. So, when they say a picture's worth 1,000 words, and when you take a look at, these screenshots and you're able to look at the seller growth, you can really see how working with Accrueme after even a few short months, you're able to massively grow and scale your business. All right. So with that, I know a number of you have questions. I want to go ahead and just wrap it up with a couple things our partners are saying, and hoping that after today, a number of you are going to add to the leaderboard. We've got a number of 5-star reviews. Fantastic partner to grow your business. The team's responsive, always eager to help. Couldn't have scaled it as quickly as I could. Go to the website, apply. You won't be disappointed. Now, by the way, before you go to the website, I've got some I got some incentives because of ExitCon that you're going to be glad that you did show up and you do go on that site today. But there's a very specific thing I need you to do, and it's going to put money in your pocket immediately. Okay. We started using Accruemi in April 2020. Think about that. When most people were shutting down in the pandemic, it's been a great decision. I don't worry about missing a good buy because we have immediate capital available. The service and help is top notch. So how many times are you in conversations with a supplier and you have an opportunity to make a buying decision that you know is going to pan out and it's going to make you money or it's going to be profitable, but for some reason you hesitate because you're short on capital or you don't have access to what we would call inexpensive capital, and so you're hesitant, right? Here again, you don't need to worry about that anymore. We're so grateful to Accruemi for helping us grow our Amazon business. Without their support and guidance, we would have been stagnant in 2021. We anticipate more ability this year to purchase more inventory and obtain more flexible for our growing business. I'd like to thank Don, Sam, Ben, Eric, and the rest of the Accruemi team for helping me scale my FBA business into a multi-million-dollar company in a short period. In my opinion, Accruemi is by far the best lending option. And the only thing I would tell you is we're not a lender, okay? But a lot of people sit there and say, why haven't we heard about this? Accruemi, ladies and gentlemen, is available. We're privately held. We're not a publicly traded company, which is a good thing for you. And we have a special incentive for all of you here at ExitCon. Free money. Everybody likes free money. $500. This is an ExitCon offer. It's good only today. And here's how you get an extra $500 that you could obviously turn into $1,000, $1,500, or $2,000, or how many every time you want to go ahead and turn it. What we will do is we'll give you $500 upon funding. We'll just add that to the amount of money we invest in your business. So it comes with no strings attached. All you need to do is fill out the 3-minute instant funding estimate today. And the $500 is yours. Here's what you need to do. You need to go on Accruemi.com. You need to do that by close of business today. Now, we are on the East Coast, all right? And our close of business, even though the internet is a virtual 24 hours, because I know we've got people overseas and whatnot. So what I would suggest you do is get on that Accruemi.com immediately, because as we already know, we have right now a set amount of money that we are investing in businesses. Today is the only day that $500 is offered, and it's only for ExitCon. So at close of business today, which is 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for all practical purposes, even though we work later than that. So that offer expires in 4 hours. So I would recommend don't put it off. Get it done today. Get it done now. All right. So with that, $500, great opportunity to get started. I will gladly open this up for questions. That's Accruemi.com. And I see people already getting on that site now. Good for you. Way to take action. All right. So, Bob, I'll answer any questions. I know we're trying to get back on time. Let me pause the share.
Want me to read the questions for you?
Would you please?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. All right. A lot of businesses are getting low SBA loans in pretty large amounts with no payments for 2 years. That being said, what value does Accruemi bring better than an SBA with easy approvals? Also, do you also help support businesses with business mentoring? He kind of answered his own question right there, but help them understand how different Accruemi actually is in that respect.
Right. So I don't really care whether you're getting a 2% loan, 5% loan, 10% loan. You're making monthly payments. I mean, the reality is you're making monthly payments. So with the ability of money out there, you're that you've got to pay that back every single month. So that's killing cash flow. And you can run a projection on our Accruemi calculator compared to what you have right now. And I'm going to tell you right now, Krumi is going to win 100% of the time. There's no way it can be beat. And it's because, you know, when you stack something up, if you have no interest, you have no monthly payments, and it's based upon profit, then you're comparing apples and oranges, right? It's like,
yeah,
you know, there's no comparison. As far as business mentoring, yes, there is a number of tools that we give our clients access to that are not available in the public marketplace. And I can be willing to guess that there's not a lot of SBA lenders out there that have the experience and the many decades of business experience in the Amazon space that collectively we have at Krumi.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I just want to dovetail on that, because when you go get a loan, all they want is their money.
Correct.
With the Krumi, they only make money when we profit as sellers. I mean, it is the ultimate business right there. I mean, it truly is. Okay, so Mark, they said, do you do? Is it worldwide, Krumi?
Well, we have clients literally around the world. They're all doing business in the U.S. I mean, now we're, you know, opening up countries all the time, but we have people literally all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, India. I saw somebody from India on there, and they're all in Israel, that are doing business in the largest Amazon marketplace in the world, which is the United States. So there's certain requirements, and we can go over that in detail with you of how you do that, how you set it up, because we are a US based company. So, but to answer your question, get on the site. You're entitled. The $500 is in US currency.
Okay. And seriously, I don't care who you are. If you are hearing our voice right now, you need to go and just find out what your options are. You know,
Correct.
500 free bucks. And there's a question right here from Leonard. Will you have to pay the $500 back?
$500 back? No, it's $500.
No.
$500 is added to what we're giving.
They just want to know if they have to pay it back.
It's not a loan. It's not a loan.
Very good. All right. So here's a question I get. Ruben, what happens if businesses go bad and there's a loss?
We make no money. That's a bad thing. So, and knock on wood, that hasn't happened. Now, we've had some situations I know you know this, Bob, where a seller makes a bad purchase, right? Where they might buy too many items, and instead of making, I don't know, 28%, they're making 7% or 6%, or losing money. What may possibly have to liquidate, in which case we're not making any profit. They're not making any profit. So that's not a good thing. And we have some proprietary software to help minimize that risk for the seller and for us. So,
right. Yeah. And again, that goes back to what I just said a second ago, where you're not going to find a partner like Krumi that has your best interest at heart, that wants you to succeed. It's not just care about money.
Right.
Okay. Do you have to have a certain amount of sales to qualify?
No, but historically our sellers are, you know, could be doing 5, 10, 15, 20,000 a month. I mean, but you know, I mean, usually as you saw us, I gave you a good range. I could have pulled a bunch of $1 million sellers out there that are doing 100, 200,000 a month. I showed you some examples of some smaller sellers that, you know, were, you know, not doing that. They were doing several thousand, and now they're doing tens of thousands, right? So, but no, there's no minimum.
It's just making money on someone else's money is such a no-brainer, you know? All right. So let's see. I love this question. Do you accrue me for Canadian marketplace?
Yeah, we have a lot of Canadian sellers all throughout Canada, all the provinces that here again now. You may be selling on the Amazon platform in Canada and also selling in the US. Most of our Canadian sellers are doing both, right?
Yep. Okay. Awesome. All right. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, Mark, because I could listen to you for days, literally, and I know everybody else can, but we've got to keep on time, and we have hit our mark. So Thank
Great.
you so very much. Everybody in the chat box, show Mark some
Akrumi.com.
appreciation.
Akrumi.com.
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
$500 is only good today. That's it.
That's right, until 5 o'clock Eastern time. So don't be afraid. They put in the chat box the link. Okay, all you got to do is click on that link. It'll take you over there. 3 minutes, and why not? Because it gives you options, and that's what it's all about. So everybody, give Mark some gratitude in the chat box. Tell him thank you, Mark. Thank you so much. We've got to keep rolling here. Oh man, I just love this. And let me go ahead and Mark, why don't you stop sharing your screen?
Okay.
There you go.
Let me do
Thank
that.
you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and share mine. We have got another Bell. Okay, Jeremy Bell is going to be our next presenter. And if the name sounds familiar, because it is Rob's brother, and he is the Chief M&A Officer at Elevate Brands. And what I love about this topic that we're going to discuss here is how do you increase the value of your business, right? How do you increase it? How do you make it worth more? What are the things you can do? Again, Elevate Brands, I cannot recommend them enough when it comes to selling your business. And something that was said earlier that I thought was pretty interesting is that everything cycles in life, right? And right now, Amazon is hot and heavy. And I know Amazon's not going away, but the idea of buying an existing Amazon business with all the money that's funneled into the industry right now may not be there forever. So you're going to want to at least investigate, start making plans. Say, maybe in 12 months, I'm going to sell it, or let's see what it's worth right now. So again, highly recommend you got to check these guys out. And I want to, again, before I bring on Jeremy, are you there, by the way? There you are.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hey, man, I could listen to your accent all day long. I love me some Australia. All right, everybody, don't forget, go to the Akrumi link and go ahead and do your 3-minute, find out what kind of money you can get. You might be absolutely shocked. Ultimate win-win. I want to turn the time over to Jeremy. He's got about a half hour. Write your questions down when he's done. Jeremy, are you okay if we take some questions at the end?
No, I'd love to. So,
Okay.
yeah, the plan is to kind of get through the content in about 20 and then 10 minutes of Q&A because...
Beautiful. All right. Well, I'm done talking. I will turn it over to you. Jeremy, thanks for being here, bud.
Thanks, Bob. Awesome. I'll just share my presentation. Cool. So hi, everyone. Jeremy Bell, Chief M&A Officer at Elevate Brands. I really love the opportunity to talk to sellers about potentially exiting their Amazon business. We started out as Amazon sellers in 2016. So we know the struggle and how hard it is to build a big Amazon business. And it's something that I'm passionate about because the way that you show up to an exit can be the difference between being rewarded with a river of gold and getting an outcome which is suboptimal. And given how hard it is to build and scale these businesses, preparing and getting it right is actually the easy bit. Building the business is the hard bit. And I think we're at a kind of point in time where all the stars are aligning. E-commerce growth is phenomenal at the moment. Investors are really interested in this space, and there's a lot of capital and there's a lot of buyers. So if you look at where we're at in the cycle, now is the golden age for selling your Amazon business. It's also the golden age for building a business. And what we keep seeing is entrepreneurs have something which is now really valuable, and they started their business with a credit card, or they started their business with 50,000 in savings, and they're selling that business today for $3, $4, $5 million, and it's kind of beyond their wildest dreams. And the motivation for them now is to go and start another Amazon business. So the profile of the sellers that we meet today, they're all selling their business to go again and launch more Amazon businesses because they know what they're doing. And I think that's super exciting for this ecosystem of entrepreneurs. So there's kind of three things I'd like to cover: getting ready, 3 really key tips for a successful exit, and then focusing on Q&A. So the first thing I would say is, a friend who was a school teacher once said that, every parent thinks that their child is the smartest kid in the room, and they're just not. And anyone who owns an Amazon business, here's something that we've never shared before, but here is a summary of our pipeline. So this year we've looked at businesses that total $2 billion in revenue when you add up all those opportunities. So there are a lot of you. And the key is how do you stand out from the crowd when you go and sell your business? And the key to standing out is like, I have a team of 8 people that work for me, and every week we get a whole bunch of opportunities that come across the desk. And the key is to find the ones that are the best. And the way that you prepare and kind of get someone like Maya's attention can be the difference between getting a 3.5 multiple and a 4.5 multiple. So that's why it's so important. So there's an acronym that we kind of talk about that we've kind of pushed into the ecosystem, and it's GOAT. And what it stands for is growth, operations, accounting, and trenches. And if you just focus on these 4 things, as you prepare to think about selling your exit, you're going to be exit ready. And the benefit of being exit ready is once you're exit ready, you can basically pull the trigger on when you want to sell your business at any point in time. So maybe your partner, you decide to have a baby, maybe you decide that the business has outgrown your needs. Being ready so that you can exit and maximize value is key. So what I say to people is the best time to prepare to sell your business is the day you start it. The second best time to prepare to sell your business is the moment that you finish this podcast. So when we look at a business, what we get excited about as buyers is businesses that have a really strong growth narrative. And that means that whether you've achieved it or not, but being able to say to a buyer that, look, my business made $500,000 in profit, but I think by implementing the following initiatives, you'll be able to grow it to $1 million, and here's what you need to do. And the couple tangible tips are like, go and launch these 20 SKUs. We're having discussions with a seller at the moment, and they're like, we delivered X million dollars in profit last year, but we're about to launch 20 SKUs. All those SKUs are in production. They're ready to go. We've done the branding, we've done the marketing. As a buyer, I love that because I know that I can grab that business and go. And there's potentially going to be more growth the moment that I own it from when I'm looking at it today. The next thing is think about new markets where the business can launch to, whether it's Amazon Europe or eBay or Walmart. Start to identify some of those opportunities and make some early traction into expanding into those new markets. Buyers love that. The other thing as well is like just thinking about all the different growth levers on Amazon that you have. So like if I meet a seller and I say, what do you do for your marketing strategy? A bad answer is I manage, I hire a PPC agency to do the advertising myself or for me. A good answer is, look, the only advertising strategy I have today is I do product ads. I don't have an Amazon storefront. I don't have a video. I don't use DSP. That's all upside for a potential buyer. So being able to clearly outline, like, here are all the growth opportunities gets buyers excited. So here's the profile of what we looked at and thought was a super attractive opportunity for us to go and buy. And this type of profile commands the maximum multiple. Because if you just look at this trend, this is a real business, by the way. This business is growing like a weed. Every month, the performance kind of, it keeps growing, it just keeps growing every month. And what the seller did is, they constantly started launching new SKUs. They expanded into a few different marketplaces. Each of those initiatives got a little bit of growth, but they're not fully matured. So any buyer that looks at this will say, that's a great growth trajectory. Like, all I need to do is buy this business and ride the wave. And this is the type of growth profile that most buyers get extremely excited by. The question that I then get is like, well, when's the right time to sell? My view is the right time to sell is potentially when you've done what you practically can execute on and you can see the trajectory. That's probably the best time to sell. Ken from Thrasio, I was on a podcast with him. His view is when you're about 70% of the way there. I think that, again, is good advice. The other thing that I get is, shouldn't I sell while I'm at the top of this growth curve? Well, you will never go bankrupt taking a profit. So that's great advice. The other advice is, fortunes are made by those that sell early. So you don't have to do everything, but if you're on the trajectory, you're going to command the highest multiple because buyers can see the growth. What we do is, all buyers, whether they tell you or not, they focus on what can they do to grow your business after they acquire it. This is an excerpt from one of our investment committee papers. And when we looked at the business, these are all the ideas that we came up with for how we're going to grow the business. They aren't really the strategies that we implemented, but working with the seller, the seller was 80 years old. There was a lot of stuff that they weren't doing. So we just unpicked, here are all the different things that we can do with this business to grow it. And we had a really high conviction on what we were going to do after we bought the business. And this is great. My investment committee loves this. My investors love this. The team that work for us, who implement this strategy, love it because they know exactly what they need to do to grow the business. And when we bought this business, here's what's happened. It went from making 30K a month to kind of 100, and it's still performing that strongly. And it's basically because this business was trading flat. It was making 30K a month. We bought it off Quiet Light and Joe Valley's team. It was making 30K a month, but we saw all the upside and we came up with a real strong growth narrative. And the business is doing great under our ownership. So if you can sell that story to buyers, and you can tangibly say whether it's a PowerPoint presentation around here's what I'm going to do to grow the business, or a Word document, or you can just articulate it really clearly, buyers will pay more for a business that they think they can grow than something which they think is either stable or declining. So, lead a horse to water and get buyers excited about the growth prospects. The next one is operations. So get your house in order. And really, if you look at a group like Elevate, by the end of the year, we're probably going to have 50 brands in our portfolio, and integrating each of those businesses has its own challenges. And really, the better run a business is, the easier it is to integrate. So we've had more problems integrating a business with, 30 SKUs than we have had integrating a business with 400. And the reason is that the business with 400 SKUs, everything all the standard operating procedures around how you buy inventory, the record keeping, the relationship with the suppliers, all of that process was really well documented. And for a buyer, it's a dream because you don't need to go and create, customer service protocols. You don't need to create SOPs with the manufacturers or the suppliers because it's already been established. So it just makes it much easier to integrate. And when sellers look at it, the first thing they'll ask themselves is, can I grow it? The second question they'll ask themselves, buyers will ask themselves is, how easy is it going to be able to plug this business into my operating platform? So if you have all these SOPs in place, that makes life very easy for a buyer. And it makes it very hard for a buyer to convince themselves not to do the business, not to do the deal. So other good advice here is, if you're storing inventory in your garage or your warehouse, think about migrating it to a third-party logistics center, because that makes it very easy to transition to a future buyer. That's a tip that we see a lot, where when we look at it, if it's at a 3PL, it's very easy for us to transition that relationship over to us, and one that people can start to think about today. The next one is accounting. So messy books equals a lower price. And when you go to market, when you meet a buyer, the first question that they will ask you is, how much money does your business make? And the figure that you give them at that point in time kind of sets the tone for the rest of the kind of relationship. And the thing I would say is, I met a business once where I asked them how much profit they made. They said $90,000. I asked them what their revenue was, and they said 2 million. I went to Alibaba, and just by doing back of the envelope kind of calculator cost, I figured that this business is not making $90,000 in profit. And when we did the math, we're like, look, your business makes 450,000 in profit. They decided not to sell because what they had was more valuable than what they thought. So if you approach the right buyer, they're going to be honest. That's the relationship that we're building. Others won't. They'll take advantage of you. So know how much money you make, because it's also helpful with, it's just helpful to make sure you're getting a fair value. And then the other element of it is you never want to go to market and think that you're making $500,000 when actually your true profit is kind of 300,000, which is something that we're experiencing at the moment. Because what's going to happen is, we agree a value based off a price, an earnings profile. And if the earnings profile changes, that just adds risk to the sale process. So if you don't have a CPA, I highly encourage you to go and hire one. There's a whole bunch out there that are really great that focus on Amazon. CapForge is a good name. Go and approach and get your numbers nailed. It doesn't cost that much, but having really strong financials makes it very easy. The other thing is just have one bank account. It makes it very easy for me to reconcile the expenses of the business. If I can just look at one bank account and realize what's happening. People say to me, well, that's a challenge because I have many bank accounts because I use 3 credit cards. My advice is like building a business off credit card debt. That's where we started is really risky. That's why Accrue Me exists. So just try have one bank account. The next thing I'd say is trenches. We've pulled out of sale processes before because the businesses come to market and they don't have a trademark or there's trademark risk. If you have a trademark, you can get brand registry. If you have brand registry, there's a lot of different growth levers at Amazon that you pull, and it also stops you from getting attacked from a black hat perspective. So brand registry is key. It's really easy to get a trademark through Amazon now, through the accelerator program. You can log on immediately when you finish this call and go and get that locked in. The one thing that a lot of people overlook is like, go and get your Facebook page locked in. Go and get your website domain locked in. Go and get an Instagram page locked in. Same with TikTok or Pinterest. You may not use those website or like those kind of channels today in your business because you're just focused on Amazon, but a new buyer will use those. So make sure you go and get that locked in because it's super helpful. So get that locked in. The other big one is patents. My view is Amazon is going to start to reward people that have patents, and they're getting better at enforcing patents. So if you're an entrepreneur who's done something really unique, it is worth going and investing in getting a patent created. Here is an example of a guy who created a product. It was unique. He got a utility patent, and he also got a design patent on his product. And then what he did was his strategy was after he launched his product and he got some success, a whole bunch of copycats kind of entered the market. And this blue line here, let's start with the orange line. The orange line was his revenue for last year. The blue line is his revenue for this year. And what happened was after he got his patent set up, he went to Amazon and said, can you please help kick off all the copycats of my product who have taken my product and got it made in China or overseas or wherever, and they're now selling it for half the price of my product. And he went through that process. Amazon acknowledged that he was the patent owner, and he got all the other sellers kicked off Amazon. And he went from his profit went from making $200,000 a year to over $1 million. And he didn't really do anything but just, protected the IP that he created. And for sellers, that's nervous. Like many sellers get nervous at that proposition because if you go pick a bunch of fights with people, there could be follow-up court cases and legal action. For a group like Elevate with a big balance sheet, and we're not scared to go and enforce kind of patents. For us, we see this as a hugely value add strategy and something that we get very excited about. So as Amazon gets more competitive, if you've done something, go and get, it's worth spending the money to get a patent and some patent protection locked in because buyers value that. And that guy's business, when he sold it, you know, he sold it for a turn higher. So rather than selling it for like a multiple of 4, he sold it for a multiple of 5. And the reason he got an extra turn, which is 1 year's worth of profit in his pocket, was because buyers valued the patent that much. So think about that, because all it is paperwork, and it can mean a huge amount of difference for you and the amount of money that you make when you decide to sell your business. So that's GOAT. Realize there's a typo at the top of my presentation, but that's fine, getting ready. So growth, operations, accounting, and trenches. Just start to get each of the kind of jigsaw pieces of the puzzle in place today, and you'll be exit ready when you decide to sell. So the next one is keys to a successful exit. Like, I'm going to share some tips that probably shoot myself in the foot, but you know, by doing that, it will help us in the long run, is my belief. If you're selling your business, you know, the message to any buyer is the more buyers you have looking at your business, the higher the price will be. So whether you're going through a broker and the broker is going to introduce you to kind of 30 buyers, or you're going direct and speaking to Elevate, a bunch of my competitors, you know, just delivering that message to any buyer that, hey, I'm speaking to you and I'm speaking to a bunch of other people, you know, instantly lets them know that it's competitive. And competitive tension always results in a higher price. So whether it's real or fake or you've concocted it, just delivering the message. Like, we've got on phone calls with sellers. We're like, who else are you speaking to? How are you running your sale process if they come to us directly? A poorly advised seller will say, you're the only person I've spoken to, which is the wrong message. The message should always be, I'm speaking to you and I'm speaking to all your competitors, whether it's real or not, because it means that I'm now thinking about this opportunity from, okay, it's competitive. If I really like this business and I want to win it, I'm going to have to put my best foot forward. Or, you know, it'll just change the way that you think about it. So having many buyers looking at your business will always result in a better outcome. The next point I'd say is, you know, prepare, which goes back to the impression of GOAT. So you have one chance to make a first impression. And if you go to market to sell your business and you're not fully prepared and you don't have everything ready, then like that first impression that you make when you meet buyers can kind of be diminished. So what I would say is, like, don't go to market too early. Go to market when you know that your financials are bulletproof. Go to market when you've got your growth narrative laid down. So when someone asks you a question like, why should I buy your business? You're hitting them with a fire hydrant of great reasons around why they shouldn't buy your business. Like, why they should be doing everything, every other opportunity that they're looking at today doesn't matter. And all they should be doing is focusing on your opportunity. So have that all down pat. The worst call I've ever had with a seller, and this was when I was in investment banking, was I said, why did you start your business? And they basically, the response they came back to me was, oh, we got lucky. We were just really lucky and we've made a lot of money. Like, as someone trying to, you know, who's hedging their career on buying these businesses successfully, that's not the message that you should deliver. You should deliver the message of, look, I've built a great business. I'm super passionate about this niche. I think there's a lot of growth here for you as a buyer, and it's kind of outgrown me. And I think this business is the next leg of this business's life cycle is under, you know, a group like you, and there's a ton of upside here, but it's outgrown my ability to grow it, which is why I've decided to sell it. Like, that's the perfect example of how to make a good impression. And the third kind of tip I'd give people is, when you're selling your business, just be patient and wait. Like, get all your options on the table. So, you know, we spoke to a seller once and we had a good call with them. We told them we were interested in the business. We agreed with them that we'd come back to them in kind of 3 or 4 days after we got the information to prepare an LOI. And when we called them, that was on a Monday. When we had our next call with them on a Friday, they basically said to us, they're like, oh, I've already signed an LOI with this other group over here. And we were thinking, we're like, well, how do you know you got a good deal? Like, how do you know that you shouldn't have waited to see what we came to the table with? Because we could have come with a better price. So you basically, that seller, you know, they made a mistake because they had the opportunity to play different buyers off against each other, create some competitive tension and drive the price up. So what I would say is, like, it's perfectly okay to sit there and tell the buyer pool, you know, please give me your bids by date X. And then I'll come back to you in a week with some clarifications and make my decision. Every buyer will feed you a message of, you know, I'm looking at many different opportunities. I've got only a scared amount of resources that I can allocate to deals, and your deal is one that I really like. So, you know, I don't want to miss it. But the reality is all buyers will wait. If they like the opportunity, they will wait till you're ready to make your decision. Don't wait too long. Don't wait 3 weeks, but you can say to them, like, I need to wait a week to assess my options. It's a big decision. It's the most important financial transaction in my life. Like, I'd like to assess my options before I make the decision. That's a good bit of tangible advice that I think anyone that thinks about selling their business, whether they're using a broker or going directly, get all your options on the table. And then also what we've found is, like, the longer you, in Australia, there was a really interesting statistic that the amount of time it would take a real estate agent to sell their house was 2 weeks longer than it would be if someone was selling their house using a real estate agent. And the reason for it is that the real estate agent knows that if they wait and get all their options on the table, they'll maximize the price of the sale process. So that's a bit of advice I'll give to everyone is don't get excited when you get your first offer. Get all your offers on the table, play people against themselves and go from it through there. So they're the key, you know, 3 tangible tips. I might now just hand it over for some Q&A.
Okay, well, Jeremy, that was phenomenal advice and insight, and obviously it only comes from experience. And you seem kind of young to have all that experience, so that's pretty impressive, bud. All right, so I've got some questions here. Let me go ahead and ask them, and just have you answer as many as we can in the next couple of minutes. First one comes from Benjamin. He says, if you've been writing things off, that takes away from profit in your official books. What can you do to adjust for real profit?
Great question. So if you've launched a bunch of products that didn't work and it was an experiment, we will let you add back some of those expenses or losses to the P&L because you experimented, you tried to launch and grow the business, but if it's not part of the sustainable recurring business going forward, then we'll let you add back some of those write-offs. And you need to add back the cost of the product, the advertising cost, the revenue, you know, maybe some of the shipping costs to get that math right. But you shouldn't be penalized for that if it's not part of the business going forward.
Now, will you, if somebody contacts you, will you help them with all of that?
We will. I don't know if my competitors will, but 100% my team will.
Okay. Well, that's what I mean. Okay. So it's jeremy@elevatebrands.com, correct? Is the email address for you? All right. Next question. This actually comes from Benjamin as well. He says, we have products that we actually manufacture in addition to products that we private label. 80% of our revenue is generated by our own products we make. We are in the pet health product market. Is having your own products make the company more valuable, or is it a drawback?
So if you're making those products yourself, the question that a group like Elevate will have is, how do we make that product in the future? So if you're picking and packing and doing things like in a 3PL, we've bought businesses where they kind of assembled the product themselves, and we transitioned all of that to our third-party logistics provider. The other alternate option you can do is say, like, hey, look, I've actually found a manufacturer that can make the product for you. And I do it today, but the cost of getting them to do it will be X. And then the buyer knows how they solve that problem. So it's not a drawback, but again, it's how you prepare. How do you prepare for that transition?
Okay, excellent answer. So Lilia asked, in the trenches section, what do you mean by getting your IP locked in?
It's as simple as just going like, if the name of your product is amazing, you know, amazing cat feed, and that's your brand on Amazon, go lock in amazingcatfeed.com. Go lock in the Amazing Cat Feed Facebook page. Go lock in the Amazing Cat Feed Instagram handle. Like, go and lock in. IP means intellectual property. So go and lock in all those kind of like online domains. Go get your trademark registered. Get your logo copied. If there's any kind of slogans that you use, get a trademark there. So it basically means just lock in each of those kind of key, like either e-commerce properties or trademarks, patents, email addresses, domains, all those kind of things.
Okay. Yeah, that's great advice. Let's see, how many years of profit are you looking for?
It's a great question. Typically, like anything over 2 years, we look at as favorable because it means that the business has been around longer. But if you've launched a product and it's only a year old, we're still interested in buying that business. But basically what it means is we'll pay you less cash at close because there's risk around the business life, and we'll put more of the money into the earnout, which is payments you get paid in the future based off future performance of the business.
Okay. Do you have a preference on what categories?
So at the moment we are category agnostic. What we look for is really great businesses that we think we can elevate. So we're category agnostic, and the saying that we have is the riches are in the niches. So the businesses that come across the desk where we didn't even know that was a category of product that you could sell on Amazon, they've always been great. So we look at everything.
Okay.
And that's part of the cool part of the job is we just get to see so many, wonderful businesses in different niches.
I love it. Well, thank you. Listen, we got to keep moving here, Jeremy. Once again, Jeremy's email address is jeremy@elevatebrands.com, correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. And elevatebrands.com. And again, you want to go with somebody that's trusted and respected and works well with AccrueMe. And we are just honored to have you here, Jeremy. Thank you for your sponsorship. Good to have you here. Everybody, do me a favor in the chat box. Let's show Jeremy a little bit of love. Tell him thank you for being here. Can't wait to sit down with you one time and discuss some of this stuff. So thanks, Jeremy. Good day.
Awesome. Cheers, Bob. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Cheers.
Always a pleasure.
See you later.
Bye.
All right. Let me go ahead. You stop sharing your screen. There you go. And I will pull mine back up. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. All right, well, our next presenter, and again, I want to remind all of you, okay, we've got till 5 o'clock Eastern today to take advantage of this free $500. And again, there's no obligation. All you got to do is go over there, fill in that 3-minute instant funding. You will find out literally exactly how much AccrueMe is willing to help you with, and then you can start planning. And I understand this myself because I know in the beginning when I was first building my business, one of the frustrations that I had was that I had to pass on opportunities, great suppliers, great products that would have put me into a whole nother level, whole nother category, less competition. But that money, that growth capital was the hard part of it. And just by having access to this, absolutely phenomenal. So again, before 5 o'clock, you got to make sure you guys check it out, fill in that application. It's free $500. All right. So with that, I'm going to bring on Pato now, Patricio, and super excited. This guy is an absolute master. Espanol. I know a lot of you were on here going, I speak Spanish. Well, this is your expert right here. Latin America, Mexico. And what he wants to do is he wants to help you get outside the box, think outside the box a little bit. And how do you grow your business? How about by expanding into another marketplace? I believe that the Mexico market, the South American market, Latino market is where Amazon.com was like 10 years ago. And Pato might correct me on that one, but the opportunity, getting in that ground level is phenomenal. Establishing yourself as an expert. But I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you, Pato. Welcome. Thank you for being here. Everybody in the chat box, give them a big round of applause. Tell them thank you for being here. If you don't mind, Pato, let's leave about 5-10 minutes at the end so we can do some Q&A, okay?
Right. Yep.
All right.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. I wasn't sure if you were able to see me, but
oh yeah, I can see you.
Okay. Okay. I'll take it over from here. Okay. So hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me, Bob. And I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. If that's all right with you. All right. So you should be able to see my screen there. And so what I'm gonna be talking about today is expanding your business to Mexico. I know. I mean, and you might be asking, well, how is this relevant to the topic we're discussing today in ExitCon? And I think there's actually two very good reasons why, if you're selling on Amazon, whether you are selling your own brand, you're doing private label, or maybe you are doing wholesale, you should absolutely be considering seriously expanding to Mexico. And the main reason is, whether you're planning on exiting your business today, it always adds value to add additional revenue streams to your business. And Mexico is by far one of the most, I think, promising and untapped markets that are out there. So I'm gonna show you today why this is the best time right now to expand to Mexico with the least amount of competition, and we're seeing traction, start getting some volume and some sales with great ROI. Is a great moment right now. So before diving into that information, let me just talk real quick, tell you about who we are as a team at Algomas. And I am, as you can see, I am a Mexican living in Ohio, of all places, in the suburbs of Cleveland. And I'll tell you all about how I ended up here. That's in another conversation sometime when we hopefully meet in person. But I've been living here in the U.S. for over 10 years now, and of course using the skills that I've learned here, building business here in the U.S. and building a successful business on Amazon, just gave me all the tools and all the opportunity to take advantage of the Mexican moment, the Mexican marketplace. So this is what I come here to share with all of you. And the first, so to start with, like, why Mexico? Why is Mexico interesting right now? Right? We all know Amazon is in a bunch of other places that might seem at first more interesting to US, especially to US based sellers, right? So if you're already selling internationally, you're probably selling in Canada, right? So that's an easy step, easy next step. They speak English, open borders, a very similar culture, right? Or you might be thinking about selling in UK or Europe or even Australia or India, right? Everybody's going crazy with India because India is this huge opportunity, huge market. But what I think most people are overseeing really is that Mexico is also a very big market. Mexico is actually the 11th biggest economy in the world. And right now in e-commerce, Amazon is the 17th largest e-commerce marketplace. But the difference with all these other countries really is that Mexico is just starting up really. It's really starting to open. A lot of people, especially with COVID, as we know, COVID really accelerated all the trends and amplified all the opportunities that were already in the market. But so just so you get an idea why Mexico is such a big opportunity, is because Mexico is the fastest growing market in the fastest growing region in the world. So Latin America last year, and again with COVID, all these statistics are going to have moved, and probably some of them temporarily. But the general trend is that Latin America is the fastest growing region worldwide in sales in e-commerce, because so much of the population in Latin America is yet to be online, to be buying products, is yet to have a bank account. So there's a huge upside in growth for these markets. And within Latin America, Mexico is the fastest growing e-commerce marketplace. So there's definitely a lot of value to be had in this market if you are a professional seller, if you're doing things right, if you've built the brand, if you've built the business, then I think to me it's a no-brainer to be on the Mexican marketplace. And the reason for that is because yes, Amazon is an important player in Mexico, but it's still very divided. Amazon is not the leading marketplace in Mexico. There are many other marketplaces that are relevant in the Mexican marketplace, especially Mercado Libre. Mercado Libre is actually bigger than Amazon is right now in Mexico. But that gives us, for Amazon sellers, a huge opportunity because we know what's going to happen. We know eventually it's a matter of time. As Amazon continues to grow in Mexico, it's going to be the dominant player. And if you're a professional seller that has built reputation, that has built track record, that has built a brand in Amazon, you're going to be in a privileged position to capture that growth and to be part of a huge potential market in Mexico. So what's important to know here is that you want to be in Amazon, of course, and most people watching this are already on Amazon, but it's important to also have presence in other marketplaces if you want to build a brand. If you want to create value for your brand and your business, you want to have presence in all the other meaningful marketplaces that are out there. And we have, and for us, I mean, being from Mexico and we've had an office in Mexico for a couple of years now. We have the relationships with all these retail and e-tail companies in Mexico. So we really know who's growing, which one is an opportunity. We really know how the competition looks like in Mexico. And so if anybody of you are interested in not only expanding to Amazon Mexico, but other marketplaces, I'll be happy to chat and talk about the opportunities that are out there. But now, right, so why is Mexico such an untapped market, and where is the real value in selling in Mexico and just going through the effort and the work that is required to open a new marketplace in a foreign country, right? So to me, the biggest opportunity in Mexico is that Amazon is in Mexico. Amazon carries a huge brand, hugely recognized brand. So there's a lot of demand in Amazon already. But the products, the competition, and especially the catalog that Amazon has right now in Mexico, it's one of their main problems that they're trying to solve. Because Amazon still, after 5 years that they've been in the country, they still have a very limited catalog as opposed to other players that have been in the marketplace longer, like even the Walmarts, right? Or the local companies. So Amazon still is very limited in catalog. So that creates huge opportunities for US sellers to come in and fill those gaps. And also only the 16, and this is a statistic that really blew my mind. I couldn't believe this, just because if you think about Amazon, right? Like everybody knows about Amazon. And if you're especially bigger brands, you would think that they are all already selling in Mexico. But the real statistic is that only a handful, only 16% to probably 20% of brands are selling either directly or through Amazon in Mexico. So there's a huge gap in that market. Whether you are a wholesale seller and you wanna start helping medium and large brands to get their products to the marketplace, or you are a private label seller and you own a brand, then this is the perfect time for you in Mexico, because these huge brands that might have the name and the recognition are not offering their products yet. So if you want to build a brand, the demand is there, right? The buyers are there, but they are not finding all the products that they would want to on Amazon's yet. So if you have a brand, this is a great opportunity for you. And then I think to many people this is a big problem, but to me this is a huge opportunity. Most of the big sellers in Amazon Mexico are Chinese, and this means if you're competing with your typical best sellers, well, maybe right you might be facing your own manufacturers in Mexico, but what this also means is that the offering and the products that are being sold in Amazon Mexico are very limited, right? They most of them look the same. They tend to be cheaper products, right? Lower price point. So there's a lot of competition for the typical private label products that are sold directly by Chinese, and that leaves a huge opportunity in different products, different categories to be offered and to be sold in Mexico that nobody is offering them. And also what it tells me, the fact that most sellers are Chinese, what it tells me is that there's a lot of optimization to be done, right? If you're a professional seller, if you know what you're doing, if you can translate your listings and you can have an FBA local offer of your product, then you can really just outcompete these Chinese sellers that might not be spending the time and doing the work that is needed to have a very well optimized product on Amazon. So to me, this is a huge opportunity. And also, and you can do this right now, go to amazon.com.mx, and this is gonna just illustrate the huge opportunity that you have right now if you are selling in the US, right? We all know that if you think about the main sellers in the US, right? The market is saturated, or it's full with a lot of similar offers. A lot of, if you go to the main keywords, you'll find several products with a couple hundred or even thousands of reviews, right? But if you go to Amazon Mexico and type something like pool thermometer, right? Sunny Mexico, a lot of pools. This is the summer. If you go and search for this type of product, which you would think has a big market in a country like Mexico, what you'll see is that the offering is very limited, meaning that there might be a couple of products with a handful of reviews. But if you scroll down, or you go to the second, even the bottom of the first page, but the second and the third page, like, you'll see products that are not even related to the search that you made. And this is not, and we're not talking about like very niche long tail keywords here. We're talking about like mainstream big volume keywords. Like, there's a huge opportunity for these types of products today that buyers are not being able to find on Amazon. So this is really a big opportunity here, right? And these are what I'm showing you here are results for the Amazon Mexico. So what I wanted you to see here is the amount of reviews on first page and sponsored products for these type of products. And the other important thing to notice is, if you see here how you see there's a label there that says importación, like imports. These mean that these sellers are not even doing FBA locally. These are global listings, probably from the US, that it's going to take a lot longer to get to the buyer's house. It needs to get through customs and into the buyer's home, but also it's going to be more expensive, right? Because the buyer is paying for customs and imports and that whole process. So if you're able to offer an FBA locally, a local product, you're going to be more competitive in price, and you're gonna have better terms in shipping, right? So Mexico also has Amazon Prime, has a huge number of buyers. So this is something that's really there to be taken advantage of. And I wanted to just show you this example side by side. Right on the left one, you'll see pool thermometer, right? You're looking for these type of products, and this is what I was telling you. You'll find, like, as you would expect to find in any highly competitive keyword in the US, you're gonna see the best sellers that have a couple thousand or hundreds of reviews. But if you type that same search in Mexico, like, you can see right there where the opportunity is right now. So if you're selling a product that you're already importing from China, India, or wherever you're importing it from, and you're selling it in the US, you might as well just take a piece of that inventory and just send it to Mexico and start building a brand there. What it means to you, like, if you do this, is that you're gonna be getting reviews a lot faster, a lot easier, a lot cheaper than you would in the US, and those reviews can carry over to your listing as international reviews also. But also, you're going to start taking a piece of this marketplace so much more easily. And you don't even, and if you're running PPC ads, and if you have A+ content, then you can do you really use all the tools that you have at your disposal and that you're probably using here in the US. Then when you do it in Mexico, just the effect of that and the conversion of that is going to be so much more in Mexico, because there's not a lot of competition doing these kind of things. So really, again, tying it back to the subject that brought us here, trying to get the most value for a company and trying to exit. This is going to be really the shortest shortcut there is right now in the Amazon game to build the brand, get traction, get reviews, and get it out there. And you're gonna be and you can build yourself a good safety net with another marketplace and just moving products. And next time you want to bring products from China, you want to test other products, variations, you can do things. You have a back door, right, where you can move some product if it doesn't work, get better ROI, and try to position your products there in Mexico without that much competition. So I think this should be a no-brainer for everybody. And like I said, your reviews carry over as global reviews from the US to Mexico. So when you're launching a product and you use the same SKU, right? It's going to duplicate the listing, and it's going to, and you use the translation, it's going to duplicate your product in Mexico, and the reviews are going to carry over. So people are searching for your product, and even though it might not have Mexican reviews, they'll see the number of reviews that you have in the US, and that just generates a lot more traffic through your listings, right? So like I said, Mexico, it's a huge opportunity, but some of you, I know what you might be thinking. Some of you might already be selling in Mexico, right? You might say, "Hey, Patricio, I am already selling through global selling, right? Through NARF. I have my products listed." You might be making some sales in Mexico, or you haven't, or you don't think it's really not that interesting to you because you haven't seen any results with these international listings. And the reason, mostly, I think, is because what I was telling you about earlier, that those products that are being sold internationally are going to be more expensive for the buyers, right? So in a country like Mexico, if you're selling this type of product and you live in a place where you have a pool, well, you might have other places where you can go and buy a thermometer like this. Like I said, Amazon is not even the biggest or the main marketplace in Mexico, right? There's other marketplaces. There's bigger marketplaces like Mercado Libre. So you have a lot of competition if you're selling on Amazon from outside sources, right? So if you are increasing your price artificially through selling a single product, sending a single product through customs, and it's going to just make it more expensive. And then the other thing is that it might take even a couple of weeks to get to your buyer's door. So just being able to sell FBA locally gives you the same advantage as it does in the US, right? Just faster shipping, cheaper prices, because you're cheaper prices compared to your competition that are selling internationally. So NARF is a great solution. Yes, it's better than doing nothing, certainly. But if you really want to be competitive in Mexico and you want to start getting traction for your product, building a brand, getting reviews, and just building more value for your company and your brand, I think you should definitely consider selling locally, FBA in Mexico. And then you're really talking about being competitive and doing the same things that you know how to do here in the US, but directly in Mexico, right? So now, what are the requirements for you to being able to sell locally through FBA in Mexico? And the first thing is you want to have an actual presence in Mexico. The only way to sell in Mexico is to export your product to Mexico, get it in Mexico, have a local address. And why do you want to have your address? Well, because you're going to have to be registered with the government, with the Mexican IRS, and you want to have an address also for returns. And like I said, you want to be also selling. You'll want to be selling in other marketplaces, not only in Amazon, to really build a brand and get your brand out there and bring more and build more value. The second thing you want is a bank account. And just like the US, and I don't know if many of you know this, but you can, as a foreigner here in the US, you can get a bank account. You don't even need to come to here to the US. So Mexico works similarly. You can get a bank account for your business. And of course, you'll want to register a Mexican entity, a Mexican business entity, and get a tax ID, which in Mexico is called the RFC. And one important thing to know is that in Mexico, it's very different to here in the US. In Mexico, companies are required by law to have at least 2 shareholders. So, but you'll want to, if you want to sell in FBA Mexico, you want to be registered here in the US. And again, everything that you're bringing to the country, to Mexico, everything needs to meet the Mexican regulation. They call it NUMS, and certify your products in every category and every NUM to be certified and able to get into the country and be sold by whoever is going to be selling it. And you'll also need to act as your importer on record, or hire a third party, which in this case it's called agente aduanal, which is a customs agent that will act as your importer on record and get it through the customs, pay taxes, pay the fees, and get it to the Amazon warehouses. So these are the main steps that you'll need to take to become a local FBA seller in Mexico. And the very important question here that I get a lot is, why do I need to be registered in Mexico? And the reason really is, could you do this without having a Mexican entity? Yes, you could. But with the recent changes in the Mexican law, that would actually increase your costs by 20% in the best case. So this means, and again, this is a new law that passed last year. Amazon will hold 20% as income tax on your monthly sales, and just pay directly to the Mexican authority, which means that you're going to be overpaying by a lot the taxes that would have been really due. But because if you're a non-national seller, the Mexican government doesn't have really a way to enforce that, so they'll just go ahead and cut 20% off your sales and just keep it, right? So that's why you want to be a legally registered business in Mexico, and that just makes that withholding disappear. You don't need to pay that. You'll need to pay, of course, all your taxes and everything as you would here in the U.S. Because you're a legal business having profits in Mexico. But this is a very important issue, and most sellers that I talk to find out about this when they are not receiving the money that they thought they would from their sales. So this is a very important thing to remember. You want to be legally placed in Mexico, and again, if you have a brand, if you think your business is ready to expand to the Mexican marketplace, if any of this it's interesting to you and it's something that you think would benefit your business from doing, then of course you can reach out to us. Our contact is going to be probably somewhere around here. Our email, info@algomasonline. We'll put it here in the chat room. But feel free to reach out. We'll be happy to talk to you. And we do offer this service to become a distributor in Mexico. If you want to do it through us, we already have all the infrastructure and everything in place to be able to just launch your products in Amazon Mexico and get you going and hopefully getting a bigger exit when it comes time for you to sell your brand. So I'll be happy to talk to anybody and answer any questions. If I have any time left, Bob, I don't know if I.
No, you do. You did great. You did great. We got about 10 minutes. A lot of questions, man. And here's what I can say. It's what I've learned a long time ago. Don't reinvent the wheel, right? Find somebody that's already done it and copy them. Do what they do. The fact that Pato and the entire team is willing to help you with this, you got to take advantage of it. So I'm just going to go through some of these questions. All right. Let's see here. I got to go all the way back. There was one that I want to address right out of the gate here. Okay. Please comment on mail services in Mexico and corruption likelihood of an item getting to customer. There are horror stories out there. Are they true?
Yeah, well, there are horror stories, and some of them probably are true. Many of them, I would guess. But I think one of the big mistakes is that if you're using USPS, they're gonna be using in reciprocity the Mexican mail company Correos de Mexico, and they are actually not. They don't qualify for FBA, so Amazon won't even take their shipments. So you want to absolutely, definitely, if you're going to be sending product to Mexico, you want to go through one of the like main carriers, DHL, UPS, one of those, and just be sure that your product will get there and that has insurance and that will go through customs. They'll act as your importer on record. So yeah, definitely don't use the USPS ever to send product to Mexico. Just use one of the big ones.
Yeah. And again, that just goes back to you've gone through all of this. You have an answer to all this stuff. And people are crazy to try to do it on their own. Okay. Pato, where, state, or place here in Mexico do you recommend to get the best manufacturers?
I mean, Mexico, it's an industrial economy, really. There's regions, just like there are regions in China that cluster some of the certain industries. Mexico works the same way in a at scale, in a smaller scale. But depending on what you're sourcing and depending on what you're doing, there's definitely a region that will accommodate those types of products. And maybe what you want to do is you can contact the Mexican commerce office or local state economic agency, and they can guide you through that. But I would need more detail in what product you're talking about.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Can you fulfill from FBA to Mercado Libre and Mexican marketplaces?
You can, in theory, just like many things in Amazon. You can, in theory. In practice, it's just it's very messy. You will get products lost in the mail. They use different systems. They use sometimes they use Correos de Mexico. Sometimes they don't. But you can. What I would suggest is there are companies that do offer this type of service. Well, they'll fulfill your products, and that's why one of the points I mentioned was you want to have a local address and warehouse facility to do that, because it's not, and nothing in Mexico is as straightforward and or runs as smoothly as you would expect it to do here in the U.S. I know a lot of people complain about a lot of things here in the U.S., but you need to go to other places to really appreciate what you have here.
Okay, excellent. Great advice. All right. Someone asked, the income received from Amazon Mexico will be taxable as income here in the U.S.?
No. If you have a North American account and you have your 3 markets, it all will come here, and you can also get a bank account in Mexico or get the separate bank account and just use it for that specific marketplace. But everything consolidates here in the U.S. and you pay your taxes here in the U.S.
Beautiful. There was a question about when you were showing the thermometers, were those prices in U.S. dollars or pesos?
Mexican pesos. Yeah.
Mexican pesos. Okay. Is it possible to find 3PL warehouses in Mexico?
Yes, there are some. We work with most of them, so we know them. We can point you in the right direction. And like everything else, a lot of companies are starting to pop up and offering different types of services. So yeah, there's definitely 3PLs in Mexico. But again, I would just I wouldn't just go and send products to the first one I find on Google, because you wanna just be precautious with these type of things in Mexico.
Go to the one that Algo Moss recommends, exactly, because we have the experience. All right. Let's see. Can I register from the U.S. or do I have to go to Mexico?
You don't. to incorporate a business, there are actually companies here in the U.S., and we can recommend one of them that we're currently working with, that they'll help you through that process here in the U.S. You don't need to travel to Mexico. It's a service that you will need to pay for. It's an additional cost, let's say, but you can do it either way. If you go to Mexico, then of course you'll be able to do that there. If not, you can work with a law firm here in the U.S. that knows how to do that.
Okay. What about brand name limitations? I'm not sure what he's asking there. Groceries, can you sell groceries in Mexico?
Yeah, same as here in the US. If they're packaged, if they have an expiration date, nothing fresh, and all that.
Do they have to be labeled in Spanish, or is English okay?
If you're going to do a legal import over $2,500 and it's going through a customs agent, they'll require for you to relabel it. And really, what you can do is just print the label with everything in Spanish and just put it on your packaging. If you're importing under 2,500, the products will go through as they are, but it's always better, right, to and as customer service, and to avoid any complaints or anything, just put a label and you're set.
Excellent. How do you recommend translation get done?
Honestly, I'll just I mean, that's something that's one of the things that I've even seen, like, those services being offered in Fiverr and all over the internet. And the thing with Spanish is that there's there's different types of Spanish throughout Latin America. So if you have a Argentinian translator or one from Spain, it's gonna differ a little bit in what you're saying, especially if you're using an automated service, Google or even Amazon. They're gonna do a horrible job. So honestly, my best advice is get a local, a native Mexican Spanish speaker and have it done for you.
Okay, beautiful. Vamos, Che. Can you get a local address so easy to act as an IOR?
There are companies that offer that service. Again, I mean, I don't know if I would say it's easy. That, again, there's companies that offer that service. We can help you with that in finding a good service. But you need to make sure they're officially registered with customs, that they're officially registered with the government, and that you're able to hire those services from them. Beautiful.
Patricio, I'm already selling locally in Canada. How easy is it to expand to Mexico?
Well, it's how easy it is. It's probably maybe not as easy as probably Canada, but it's a North American account, so you already have that account. It's really only a matter of getting set up with registered with the government, and just send your first product to your warehouse in Mexico and get it to the FBA, give you FBA warehouse. So it's the same process. It's only going to take an additional steps for you to become registered and do it on your own, or use a service like us, where we'll already have everything set up, and we'll just buy your product here in the US and take it to Mexico through our own stores and through our own network.
Okay. Someone said, don't you need an IOR?
Yes, you do. You do if you're that's part of what I said. You definitely, absolutely want to use a third party, agente aduanal, to do the import for you. You never want to do it on your own. You're gonna end up losing your money and your time if you try to do it on your own. It's not an easy thing. It's not easy even for Mexicans. So go through a professional that knows what they're doing, that are going to offer that for you.
Okay, excellent. And again, especially if you're going to go do something new and take advantage of a new marketplace, you're crazy to try to do it on your own, right?
Yeah.
When you've got all this stuff put together, ready to roll. Okay. All right. Let me do one more question, and then we got to wrap it up. We could go for hours. There are so many questions for you. I'm trying to find your contact information. Let's just do that as the last one. What is the contact information best to reach you and Algo Mas?
I'll just write on the chat. Is you can log into our algomas.com, or info@algomassonline.com. So I just wrote the email there on the chat box. So just send us an email and we'll be happy to help.
Okay, well, I've got to say goodbye and thank you. So everybody in the chat box, let's give Pato a big round of applause. Thank him. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Bob.
Thanks so much for your time and really appreciate everything that you do for all of us. So we'll talk to you later. Okay, thanks. Bye. All right. Okay, beautiful. Wow. Again, what an absolute wealth of knowledge. The opportunity to expand down into some of these new markets, the Mexican market, all throughout Latin America, huge, absolutely huge. You can double, triple, quadruple your business by simply learning how to do it. But strong advice, don't do it by yourself. Okay. That's, again, it's just wisdom, right? It's wisdom. All right. So with that said, again, want to remind you, we've got till 5 o'clock today. If you want to get that free $500 from AccrueMe, all you got to do is go to accrueme.com, get in there, fill in the 3-minute instant funding application. You'll get ideas, information, knowledge, right? That's what it's all about, learning what your options are so you know what's the best path to take. Now, with that said, I am super excited. I'm going to go ahead and I actually get to monitor a panel, an ROI, how to increase your return on investment. I've got 3 amazing experts with me today. So I'll kind of monitor it. I've got some questions I want to ask them, get their answers. And then if we have some time at the end, you guys are welcome to go ahead and throw your questions in the chat box and I will be happy to ask the panel those questions. So with that said, who we have with us today, Don, Liz, and Sophia. Sophia actually happens to be Pato's sister, as many of you probably know. But let's do this. Guys, are you all here? I see Liz. Hi, Liz. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Don, I see you. How are you? Oh, can't hear you. Is your microphone on? All right, we'll get that microphone on. It's always good to see Don. Again, genius right there. And then Liz, is Liz on with us yet? Doesn't look like, oh, I'm sorry, not Liz. I mean, Sophia. I know you're right there. You said hi to me. Sorry about that. We're waiting for Sophia, but let's go ahead and let's start with you, Liz, if you don't mind. Would you take just a minute or two and tell everybody, just give them a little bit about who you are, what your background is, what your company does, and just kind of do a little introduction.
Sure. I'm Liz Downing. I'm the e-commerce marketing manager at Takeometrics. Takeometrics is we're a combination of software and services that is built to empower every type of seller, but we are working on building out a marketplace optimization platform that, in addition to the traditional advertising optimization that we've offered, will also be showing you other marketplace insights that will help you make better decisions about things like your inventory and your ad spend, where you're putting your ad dollars and all that kind of stuff. So we're super excited about that. What I do is I manage a lot of our relationships. I do a lot of the public speaking. I do a lot of webinars, and I'm excited that conference season has started back up because I'll be doing that next month. So hopefully we'll see everybody at the Prosper Show. If you want a coupon for $100 off, let me know. I've got Prosper on the brain today because we did a webinar with them earlier today. But happy to be here. It's nice to meet you, Bob.
Fantastic. Good to have you. Welcome. I know everybody's excited to hear from your wisdom. I love the concept of taking guesswork out of your decisions, right? Taking the emotion out of it and using that intelligence, that knowledge, that information to make educated and informed decisions. That's awesome. Can't wait to hear more. Don, how are you today? Don, are you there?
Bob, now my other headset just died. There we go. I'm back.
Well,
holy
good.
Cow.
So good to have you, Don. Now, Don is one of the original founders of AccrueMe. He has, again, he's somebody you can listen to for hours. His background is so incredible. But why don't you try to summarize it? Tell everybody who you are, what you're about, a little bit about Accrume, why you're here, before we start diving into some questions.
Sure. Real quick, my background, I've done a bunch of things in many different industries. And when I say things, I've started and created companies and sold them. I've bought many companies. So I was thinking about it today. I've bought and sold at least 20 companies. It might be closer to 40 through my career. So I've learned a lot of things. I've made some major mistakes. I've made some unbelievable home runs. And I'm just hoping that my experience with, building companies and buying and selling companies might, come in handy for everybody on the phone today, on the webinar today.
Fantastic.
And as far as Accrume, I think everybody heard a lot about Accrume today from Mark in particular, and you, Bob, as well. And Mark did great. Everybody, I got to tell you, this is one of the best webinars I've ever attended. I kept wanting to put my headset down and take a break, but it was such good information I couldn't move. But yeah, so Accrume, I came out of retirement to start Accrume with my partners, Mark and Eric and Sam and Ben. And what we did is we looked at it at the Amazon seller world, and we just felt that none of the options for financing these sellers were good for them as far as a growth standpoint goes. So we created something that's never been done before. And I think that long-term, all finance is going to be done the way that Accrume is doing it here with Amazon sellers. So we're providing, a lot of capital with no interest, no required monthly payments, no personal guarantees. And we're just here to help our sellers grow. We take a small percentage of profits for as long as they use our money. And especially for when they're trying to sell the business, it's just absolutely perfect. But we'll get into that as we go.
All right, awesome. Great introduction, and good to have you here. Thank you so much again. Thanks, for being one of the sponsors, both of you. We're excited to be here. I know we've got close to 500 people that love it. So let's do this. Sophie, I just got a note that Sophie is going to be with us in just a minute, but I think we should go ahead and get rolling here. So let's start. I got a series of questions here. Tell me, each of you, and we'll start with you, Liz, what's one easy thing Amazon sellers can do to increase their profit or their ROI?
Well, obviously, having a really, really smart and well-optimized advertising plan is very helpful to people that are, usually people that are selling their own ASINs as a brand. But there are so many things that every seller on the marketplace does wrong, and so many inefficiencies that are possible with selling on Amazon that I feel like that's not just one straight answer. So yes, you can run specials and promotions, you can run targeted advertising, but there are lots of things like FBA fees. If you're throwing money away every single month on fees that were improperly calculated by Amazon, then that's money that you can just get back right now, as long as you're paying attention to that. And you can use Getita or a similar service to do that. So not leaving money just lying on the table is a really great way to increase your profit right away. And I would suggest that any brand or seller do that.
Okay, so just be more aware, cognizant of what it is Amazon's actually charging is excellent advice, because I've had that experience myself where all of a sudden you look at it and you're like, what happened? They took extra money. Yeah, that's great advice. Hey, Don, how about you? What do you think something that an Amazon seller, an existing or a new seller can do to have some immediate impact on their ROI?
Well, I got to tell you, I'm thinking that anybody that's in this webinar today, this ExitCon Summit, are thinking big and they're thinking long-term. They're thinking about selling. So I'm going to make the assumption that they already have profitable products. And if you already have profitable products, I can tell you from experience, you should scale that business as fast as you can, as big as you can. And when you exit, you're going to have a life-changing event. If you don't do that, you may never have a life-changing event. You may just limp along and do well and have a great business and a good life and everything. But that life-changing event is a wonderful thing. And I'm telling you from experience. So I would say if you are already profitable, because if you're profitable, that's when you should use leverage. If you're not profitable, if you're breaking even, leverage is not going to help you. So don't do it. But if you're profitable and you're looking to grow, then use leverage. And as far as leverage, you know, Bob, you know where I'm coming from. If you're, you know, going to use leverage, don't, I hate to use the word stupid, but don't do something stupid like take money out of your business every month to pay a bank because it's good for them. Use the money that you are earning, all of the money, to grow your business when you have the opportunity to grow. And when you are flush with cash, meaning the opportunity to grow slowed down, so it might be March, April, May, I don't know, in everybody's business is a little different. You're going to be flush with cash. That's when you should make payments. Don't make payments in September, October, November. It makes no sense. So anyway, that's what I would suggest.
Well, that's good money management, right? I mean, it's understanding the ebbs and flows of your business, the cycles, seasonal cycles, and having access to those funds allow you to take advantage, where most people are just stuck with what it is they have.
Right. And most people, you know, they've never had this opportunity before.
Right.
They've never had the opportunity to get money and grow their business without making monthly payments on a specific timetable. You know, do it on when it's right for you and your business, not when it's right for the bank.
Yeah, and keeping in mind with the kind of the theme of our conference today with ExitCon, this is all about increasing the value of the business that you have, understanding your numbers better, like Liz was talking about, understanding better how to manage your money, like Don's talking about. Absolutely critical. Now, I just got the word that Sophia is actually with us. Are you there, Sophia?
I'm here, Bob.
Yeah, there you are. How are you? How are you? Good to have you on.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Hello to Donna. Hello to Liz.
Hey, Sophia.
Well, we're very honored and pleased to have you with us. We know you are superior to your brother in every way, so good to have you here. Now, why don't you, Sophia, could you just introduce yourself? Tell us who you are. Tell us what you do with Algo Moss. You know, and just give us a little rundown.
Okay, so welcome to everyone that's here, and for all of you that don't know me already, I'm Sophia, and I've been an Amazon seller for several years now, sourcing products both in Mexico and in the US. So yeah, we sell both markets, and we actually we already coach many students to do the same thing. We encourage our Mexican students to sell in the US and to source products from Mexico and take them over to that market. And we also encourage our US students to take advantage of this Latin American market that has been really untapped by general commerce. We have still a long distance to go. So yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Okay, great. Well, so, you know, obviously as an Amazon selling expert, both here in the US and Mexico, I asked the question of both Liz and Don, what's the one thing that pops into your head when I say, when you want to teach somebody to increase their ROI? What would you tell them to do?
Sophia, did you hear Bob?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought the question was directed for Liz and for Don.
No. I'm sorry. I must be clear. I said I asked this of Liz and Don before you got on.
So yeah, I'd heard both their answers. Very good answers. So the first thing I would want to say is for our US students that just basically tapping that Latin American market. And first of all, if you already have an established Amazon business in the United States market, there are a lot of products that are not yet selling on Amazon Mexico. So the first thing would be basically to turn to this other market that is growing and expanding your business over to Amazon Mexico. And the other thing I would say that it's very, very important, if you're looking into making your own private label, or you already sell a private label or white label, instead of sourcing in China, which you should also look into the opportunity, the gigantic opportunity that is sourcing products and manufacturing in Mexico, because Mexico has a very large manufacturing capabilities, but also it's just so close to you. It's closer than China. So many times we can, as Amazon sellers, if we already have a product that we're selling on Amazon, but we're sourcing all the way over to China, it could solve a lot of problems and make your product even more profitable if you could source on Mexico, just because of the shipping prices, the easy communication, just because it's so near. So I think many sellers are overlooking this opportunity and just going straight to China. But I think, yeah, there's an opportunity there.
Yeah, they're missing the boat because it is so close, and it's there's not that much they have to do different in order to just open up that whole new marketplace right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
all right, excellent, great answer. Glad you were here. Okay.
Hey Bob.
Listen,
Hey Bob, can I just chime in real quick on that?
please,
From
please.
an AccrueMe standpoint, I wish everybody had their products manufactured in Mexico, because the quicker turn times just adds to the profitability of every seller. Now, from a negative standpoint for AccrueMe, it means our sellers will need less money, but we're all about profit. We want them to make money. We only make money when the sellers make money. And by sourcing out of Mexico, it just makes all the sense in the world. So just my 2 cents.
That's great. And that's what having a panel is all about. All right. So let's go to question number 3 here. Are there certain optimizations that you can do now that will get you much higher valuation when you decide to sell a business? Let's go ahead and start with you, Don.
Well, I'm kind of a one-trick pony, but I'm going to give I'm going to give a bit of advice to everybody first. Something that, when again thinking about the different businesses that I've started through my career, one of the things that I learned to do early on is, when I start something like an AccrueMe or any business, or you're looking at selling your business in a year or 18 months, it's sitting down with your family and explaining to them the opportunity that's in front of you and the reasons that you're going to go after it, and explaining to them, like, especially from an Amazon seller standpoint, that over the next 18 months, I have to keep a complete focus on my business to grow my business like it's never grown before, because we're going to have a life-changing event where we're going to make millions of dollars as a result of this. And I need everybody to be on the same page with me. And that's the kind of conversations that I've had with my family. And I suggest anybody that's looking to sell their business in the next, year, 2 years, you're going to be busting your ass. You're going to make it happen. Talk to your family. Get them all on the same page. Let them know what you're doing, and then keep them informed.
What I love about that?
What?
That's so real. Because but people don't think about that. They don't think of what else is going on around them and the support that you need to have. That is absolutely brilliant. I love that, Don. Thank you.
I got to tell you, the last time I did it, not before AccrueMe, which was years ago, because I was out for 5 years, but I was out for a few years before that company. And I sat down with my family. We were out on a boat, and I told them that I was thinking about going back in, and they all said, "You're crazy. Why do you want to do it?" And then they understood my motivation and why, and they were 100% behind me every step of the way. So without belaboring that, back to, raising the capital that you need to grow your business like wildfire. So if you just think about it, if you're selling, on one of the aggregators on their site, they have a seller as an example with an EBITDA of 200,000, and maybe getting a 3 multiple at a company that's excuse me, that is that small. So, you're going to get 600,000. That is a great payday. Most people would just kill for that. Yeah. But if you just focused and, for lack of a better word, busted your ass for the next year, if you had the money behind you to do it, could you make that company, instead of a $200,000 EBITDA, 400 or 500,000? And now you wouldn't be getting a 3 multiple, you'd be getting a 4 or 5 multiple. So $2 million can be life-changing to people. $600,000 might get you to that next business and some nice comfort as well along the way. You're taking the steps. But if you just put the effort in now, you'll never regret putting that effort in, getting the money that you need. Don't make monthly payments unless you're flush with cash. Then it makes sense to do it, and grow your business to the point where it's going to be so valuable. Your cash out is going to be life-changing for you, your family, and all the people that you touch as far as gifts and things like that, and volunteer work and all that. It's life-changing. So that's what I would say. Focus now, get your family involved, get the money, grow your business like crazy, and then cash out.
Yep. Leverage OPM and know when it's time. How many businesses have I seen that they get it to that point and they're not smart enough to let it go, and they just ride it back down the other side. Yeah. And you just got to know what to do. Lilia also said, Donald, your point hit home, as I am totally going for it and no one understands. Can definitely feel isolated. Thank you for sharing.
Lilia, go for it. I'm glad I helped.
Awesome. All right, Liz, your turn now. Hot seat. Want me to ask the question again?
No, I got the question. So but we have some people in the audience that are asking for the question again. So maybe do go ahead.
All right. The question was just basically, are there certain optimizations, with the forward thinking of wanting to sell it? What can you do now to create a greater value for your business?
So to everybody who I wondered what that question was, that was the question. So there are two sides of this question that I want to kind of explore. One is your business has to be completely in order for it to be attractive to a potential buyer. So you've got to make sure your listings are optimized and up to date. You've got to make sure you've got a smart advertising strategy so that you're getting onto page one with as many of your products as possible. You need to be in a good place with your product reviews. Like, all the boxes need to be checked in order for your business to be attractive in the first place. But if you want to, if you're there already and say your store's perfect, your listings are great, you've got plenty of reviews, all of your finances are in order, all of your Amazon metrics are in order, and I'm going to tackle that with what I suspect your next question might be. Once all that's done, then what I am recommending the brands that I talk to do is take a look at what one of these buyers would do with your business to make it more profitable for themselves. Because if you make it more profitable for you, then you get paid more for it in the end. So whether that's diversifying your products, whether that's selling on additional marketplaces, because of course your Amazon account is what's the attractive thing, but what about international Amazon marketplaces? That's not an easy task, but it's definitely something that increases the value of your business, especially if you do it right and you've got good sales on different marketplaces. But even other channels are making brands and sellers more attractive to potential buyers. So selling on Walmart, selling on eBay, as long as everything's running great and as long as everything is profitable, then anything you can do to increase your kind of footprint in e-commerce is going to make you more valuable.
I think that's absolutely genius advice. I mean, you do have to look at it in two ways. First off, you have to make it attractive for somebody to want to buy it. So you've got to have all that stuff in line, that stuff in place, the bigger footprint you said. The more channels you have of selling, the better off you're going to be. And then once you've got something that's attractive, then you come back and you start to make it more profitable and increase the valuation and stuff. Absolutely excellent advice. All right, Sophia, your turn. What do you think?
So yeah, it's been great advice what you both guys said. I also would like to add that for Amazon sellers who want to increase the value of their business, I think you cannot overlook the importance of having a good relationship with suppliers. So a good relationship with suppliers is everything, and having the first hand on new products or on the lowest prices so that you can increase your ROI, I think that's crucial. So having a good stance with your best, most profitable suppliers, I think it's something you can do quite easily and continuously to increase the value of your overall company. And also, as I said before, just expanding your market to the closest one you have, or as Liz said, just to international marketplaces that Amazon is on. Those two things I would say that you should do.
Excellent advice. Again, we go back to that, expanding your footprint, right? Multiple channels, Mercure and eBay and Amazon and Walmart, all genius. And then I agree with you on the suppliers. As an Amazon seller, that is the lifeblood of what's going on.
Yeah.
And the better the relationships you have with them, again, the more value you create for your business itself. Excellent. All right. So let's move on to question number 4. What's a common mistake you see sellers make that can drastically decrease your profits? So let's start with Sophia. We're going to go backwards this time. What mistakes do you see sellers make?
So first of all, not negotiating prices again with we go back to suppliers, but first, not the biggest mistake, and I think that beginners do this a lot, is not comparing prices. When you get a price that's profitable with one supplier, you don't compare and keep looking for even more profitable suppliers. So let's say you're selling these Hershey's bar that I have right here for example. So if you find the first supplier that gives you a price that it gives you a good ROI, you should still continuously keep searching for a better price with other possible suppliers to just keep making keep growing your ROI, because other sellers on Amazon are always going to lower their prices. This is just the way it goes. So yeah, not being comfortable with the price you already have, but always keep looking for that bigger ROI.
Yeah, I think that's great. And what's interesting, you talk about that, and it made me think about what Jeremy and Rob were talking about when selling your business. Don't take that first offer, the competition, right? You create the competition and you're going to get a better price. And the exact same thing holds true with suppliers. If one supplier is giving you a price and you've got another supplier that's going to beat it, you got to work with it like that. I think that's excellent advice. Thank you. All right, Liz, how about you?
I think that one of the biggest mistakes that sellers and brand owners make is rushing to make improvements in profitability without doing it correctly or thinking about the consequences of their actions. So specifically, if you are looking for product reviews, but then you use a service that's against Amazon policy to get reviews, you can get your account suspended, and then that completely crashes everything, because then you're not even really for sale anymore, right? Because your account's suspended. So there's that, like, don't break the rules. But then there's also, if you make hasty decisions about inventory and your metrics suffer there, if your feedback score is suffering and that tanks your ODR, there's so many different metrics that Amazon uses to measure the success of your Amazon business that a buyer is going to use to assess the success of your business as well. So make sure your inventory performance index score is where it needs to be, because that can also tank your profitability, because it puts a limit on what you can send into FBA. So making sure your metrics are where they need to be, making sure you're paying attention to everything in Seller Central, making sure that you're not breaking any rules in order to rush profitability, rush more product reviews, all that stuff, all the Amazon rules that are boring and not usually very well explained in Seller Central. Those are all very important for you to know and remember and learn and bookmark, so that you're doing all the right things while you're making all these other decisions about what you're going to do with your ads, what kind of promotions you're going to do. Another thing that I see people doing willy-nilly is dropping their price without considering what else they can do to increase the sales velocity of their products. It's very rarely the first thing you should do to drop your price and cut your margins.
Excellent advice. Yeah. And just kind of add to that, one of the mistakes that I see a lot of sellers make is they'll change multiple things at the same time. And by doing so, you don't know which one really is impacting or giving you the results themselves, right? So you've got to be cautious. You got to be aware, do it right on time, every time, is what I always try to say. It's Amazon's world, and realize you're living in their world, and you got to live by their rules. And, if you get too cocky and too confident, you know, it's gonna beat you up. You're right. Excellent answer, Liz. Thank you. All right, Don, what do you see as a big mistake?
Well, I'll tell you flat out, one mistake that people are making is if they have not gone onto the Teikametrics website, and you talk about metrics, and Jeremy talked about how important that is, Liz just did. If you haven't gone to Teikametrics and really learned what they do, because they can really change your business by far for the better, I suggest everybody doing that. So that's one thing I would do.
Thanks, Don.
Well, it's just the truth. There's no question about it. But you know, the other thing that I've seen personally and I've experienced is with sellers, when again, I'm thinking about exits of, you know, letting their inventory dwindle in the last year to 18 months. And there's another big mistake tied to this. You know, if you run out of inventory, we all know what happens. You know, then you get your inventory in, you have to overspend on advertising, you have to get your rankings back up. It's not good. You shouldn't do that, especially when you're thinking about selling. But then the final part of this is at the very end. A mistake sellers make when they're selling their business is thinking that, you know, and I'm telling you, I've been there, I understand it, is that you want to take your business down a little bit, like, you know, let your inventory deplete, let all that cash come into you. It's the biggest mistake you can make, because almost every acquisition is done with an earnout, meaning that you're not going to get all that money day one. You're going to get it, some of it day one, and the rest of it over probably a year, in some cases longer than that. So what do you, if you let your inventory dwindle a little, not so it's out before you make that sale, now a company like Elevate comes in and buys you, and they run out of inventory. They're spending the money as quickly as possible. They're going out and getting the product, but maybe you run out of inventory there. That affects the profitability of the business you just sold, and it affects your earnout. So by leaving the inventory in the business right at the end, right till the end, you get that all added back to you. You don't lose that money. That all comes back to you. So don't worry about having money in inventory. It's all going to come back to you. So I suggest don't make that mistake.
Okay, I absolutely agree with you on that. And it's a natural thought process for an inexperienced seller to do that. And it actually, it goes completely against them. Absolutely agree with you on that one. All right. So I'm getting a lot of people asking, how do they contact you guys as individuals? Can you, everybody give us your contact information, or how you like people to actually reach out to you?
I'm popping my email address into the chat to all panelists.
Okay, great.
So that's the best way to reach me, or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. But I love getting questions from people. So.
All right, I just want to make sure it came through here. I'm just looking. Okay, come on. My computer's slowing down on me here. Okay, there it is right there. L Downing. Okay, great. And Don put his in there. Sophia, you want to put yours in there too?
I'm just putting it in there for Mexico. Whoever's here, many of you I see that are already our students, but I'll also put the US one for anyone, because I saw, if I just can add, Bob, that I saw many questions in the chat about manufacturing in Mexico and product in Mexico. So to everyone that has the question, how do you source from Mexico? We don't have a list yet. There's not an Alibaba for Mexico, but we are actually developing a software that will allow you to contact suppliers in Mexico, because as of now, there is not like a directory existing. So we're working on that for you guys so that you can start sourcing in Mexico. And we also I can also personally help you to source suppliers in Mexico. So I'm gonna put my email here so that anyone interested in that can just send me an email there.
That's a very generous offer. And could you, I'm gonna have Liz tell us a little bit more. Don started to get into it, and I know there were some other questions. Could you tell us a little bit more what Teikametrics actually does?
Yes. So Teikametrics has a self-serve flywheel tool that helps you optimize your advertising on Amazon. But we also have a managed services arm. the cool thing about our software is that we are powered by AI. So the data that we're able to bring in and the insights that we're able to bring in to help you optimize the different types of ad products that you choose to use on Amazon, is pretty tremendous. And it's not hard to use. So that's great. It's really not expensive either. But our managed services team is also expert at what they do. So if you're at a point where you're looking for someone to manage your advertising for you, we're really, really, really good at that. And we can do that on different types of levels, and we can do it on Amazon and Walmart. But what we're developing that I'm so excited about is Flywheel 2.0, which is going to bring in inventory insights, marketplace insights. We just did a webinar today with Prosper Show about the marketplace insights that we're able to bring in to show you your share of voice and where you're ranking in terms of your competitors. That helps you make great decisions about any kind of campaigns that you want to run on your own branded terms, that you want to run on generic terms. It gives you a lot of information that you need to figure out where you need to be putting your ad dollars in order to get to that crucial first page, and really like the first three listings of the first page. So that's what we're doing now. And if anybody wants to talk about that further, feel free to email me. I can get you with the right people, or I can just talk to you and walk you through how things work.
It's all AI, right? Artificial intelligence. That's the beauty of it.
Yep. I joke all the time that the data that we're able to pull, like we're getting ready to do a Prime Day webinar that's going to be full of just information that we were able to suss out through our access to data. It just blows my mind, the insights that we're able to pull just from taking a look at what we're able to access with our technology. It's the sexiest tech I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, what's neat about that is it takes the human error out of it and human emotion. And that's where we get ourselves into trouble sometimes. So,
Right.
All right, cool. Hey, Don, could you give us an overview? And I know you and I have talked many times that to me, Accrumi is the biggest no-brainer on the planet. It's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and how you guys have put it together and created it. Just give us a 2-minute or a 3-minute just overview of why you think everybody, and again, today, the fact that we're doing a $500 free gift for those that fill in the 3-minute application is all the better, all the more reason. But give us your insight, because I know you come from a unique position on this.
So I'll just say real quick that when we looked at the Amazon seller world and we went out and talked to sellers, they all said the same thing, that they needed capital. And so then we went out and looked at the various sources of capital that were available. And I can tell you flat out, because I did the research myself. And the first ad I saw, I thought it was fantastic. I was like, how could I compete with this? It said, borrow 10,000, pay back 11. It's that simple. Wow, great marketing. And then I got into it and I built a little spreadsheet around it. And I found that it was being paid back every other week off of revenue, 6-month term. I came up with the payments, and you borrow 10,000, your monthly payment was $1,856, which means, so it means you have to earn roughly 19% per month on your investment. So you borrow 10,000, you've got to get 19% on that pretty much to break even. Why would anybody do that? It makes no sense. So we looked at that, and I literally said to my partner, Eric, I don't want any part of this. This is not good. And he suggested, why don't we partner with the sellers? And we came up with this whole idea so that the sellers can't lose. There's only one way a seller can lose with us, and that's if they take our money and leave it in the bank. Then nobody wins. That's not smart. But if they take our money and put it into profitable products, they literally can't lose. It's amazing. It's really exciting. So that's what we did. We tried to set it up so that it's good for the seller, and anything that's good for the seller, if we can help the seller make money, then that's good for us as well.
Yep. Yeah. Well, you have the seller's best interest at heart. That's the best part. Okay. Is Techometrics available in Mexico?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on just a second and I'll tell you.
Okay. with AI technology. What application is it? Okay, Joey asked me, what application am I talking about? Don, you want to just tell everybody how quick and simple it is to
Oh, sure.
apply?
So for today only, we're offering through AccrueMe, anybody that fills out our simple, application and gets funded by AccrueMe, an extra $500. That doesn't get repaid or anything like that. It's just simply extra money in your account that you can use for pretty much whatever you want. But anytime we've done this in the past, everybody uses it to buy more inventory. So it's just an exciting benefit for you. And yeah, it's exciting.
And it's really simple. We just put in the chat box a link
Great.
right there, Joey. Hey, you got it. All right.
Great.
Yeah, just click on that. It's 3 minutes. It's super quick, super simple.
Yep.
All
And
right.
We are in the Mexican marketplace.
Okay,
So.
you are in the Mexican marketplace. All right, excellent answer. That's what everybody was hoping for. Again, this is an awesome thing. Well, I want to, our time is up, and I know I've got to turn it back over to Don because we've got another set of panelists that we're going to get to. So Liz, thank you so very much for your time. Look forward to working with you and seeing you at one of these upcoming conferences. So
Definitely. Thanks,
Absolutely.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Thanks, Liz.
Sophia, thank you so much.
Bob.
Thanks, Sophia.
And everybody, if you're really grateful in the chat box, just give them all a big round of applause or a thank you. Look at that. They're all coming in real quickly. So appreciate you. All right. So what we're going to do now is the time has come for me to turn it over to Don. I'm going to, I just got a real quick little slide right here. We've got 3 new panelists coming on, and Don, you're going to be facilitating this and asking them some questions and working with them.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, I will turn the time over to you, and then when you're about done, I'll come back on and we'll wrap it up.
You are the man. Thanks, Bob.
Hey, thanks, Don. We'll see you.
Bye. Well, welcome everybody. So we've got Mikal and Greg and Joe here. So this is, I think, the first time ever that we've ever seen a panel of, for lack of a better term, brokers who will help you sell your Amazon business in the best possible way. I look at them more as investment bankers than brokers, but everybody uses the term brokers. So I hold these 3 very, very in high regard, and it's exciting. And I think we're going to get into some good stuff. But real quick, for all of you that have listened all day, we've had a couple of sessions from Elevate. And I don't know about you, but I'm learning how to speak Australian now. So it was a lot of fun. They were great. And, in putting this panel together, in putting this whole summit together, in speaking with the people at Elevate, I would say most aggregators would shy away from putting 3 top-notch brokers on a panel together when, we're spending all this money to bring everybody here. And they had no fear. They wanted to make sure that everybody that's on this summit gets all the information, the God's honest truth, as my father would say. You're going to get everything straight out. So let me start and ask for each one of you to introduce yourselves. And Mikal, I'm going to start with you from Fortinet.
Yeah, hi. So thank you very much. And I agree that this is a courageous decision of Elevate, and kudos for them. And thank you for hosting me. So my name is Michal Oron. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fortinet. We are an investment banking firm. We're advising on mergers and acquisitions to Amazon sellers, representing sellers only. A team of 27 people today, and we are focused at mid to large businesses only.
Mid to large, how would you define that?
So it will be at least 1 million worth of a business. I think with the median size deal as of now, above 10 million, that's where we are today.
Very nice. Welcome, Mikal. And Joe, let's jump over to you.
Hey, Don, good to see you.
Good
Thanks
to see
for having
you.
me.
And by the way, Joe is a new best-selling author of a great book that I've already picked up and already did a review of. So I'm sure Joe will tell us a little bit about that too.
Look at you plugging my book already. It's the
Look at that.
Exitpreneur's Playbook. There you go, folks. I did write it for you. I wrote it for everybody in the audience. I've been at this for about 10 years. I was an e-commerce entrepreneur myself, sold my last business through Quiet Light in 2010, and then joined the team. Mark, the original founder, and I are partners now. Everyone on the team is an entrepreneur like myself, first and foremost. We've all built, bought, or sold our own online businesses. Total of 15 advisors now. We play in the 25 million down to the say $250,000 range, but there's exceptions to every rule, and that 25 million number keeps going up. We're here to help first and foremost. That's why I wrote the book. That's why we've got people like Walker Dybel on the team. He's a best-selling author of Buy Then Build. Amanda was on the cover of Time magazine for her pearl importing business at the age of 25. Pat's a Shark Tank alumni. He owns a company called Happy Feet, did a deal with Robert. We're all advisors now as well, and we help people walk through the entire process of thinking about selling their business, doing evaluation for them, educating them, helping them, and eventually exiting a business of the value that they want.
Terrific. And Joe lives in the town next to my son down in North Carolina.
Davidson, North Carolina. That's
right. So Greg, let's jump over to you. So I understand you're coming from Vietnam right now. Is that correct?
Yes, a very similar location to Joe. It's almost exactly the same. Yeah. Almost exactly the same.
well, I also understand that Vietnam is about 11 or 12 hours ahead, and a friend of mine there was just telling me that they have some serious lockdowns going on right now.
Yeah, this sounds kind of bad, but I've been so busy I haven't actually noticed that's happened. So as it goes, I'm hiring 4 different positions on my marketing team. So as you can imagine, like I've had about 30 interviews this week. So
brutal.
It's been intense, but if you're ever drink Vietnamese coffee, I highly recommend it if you need energy. Terrible long-term health choice, but great short-term energy boost, I'm sure. But yeah, my name's Greg. I'm the director of marketing, head of marketing over at Empire Flippers. And very similar to Michelle and Joe, we've built a huge brokerage serving the Amazon FBA space. And it really ranges from, that sub $100,000 level, maybe a digital nomad who created a side hustle that's becoming more of an enterprise, all the way up to that 8-figure range that we've been selling it at now. So, and our whole team's distributed. So I'm not the only one that lives in a strange place. We really embrace the whole remote work thing.
That's great. That's great. Well, welcome. What time is it over there? 3 in the morning?
Just close. It's a little bit past 2 a.m. So normal times for me. I'm a night owl. I used to work in the oil field on the night shift, like midnight to noon. So it's all good.
There you go. Good for you. Good for you. So Mikhail, let's start with you. I'm going to ask you all the same question, basically on the current state of the market for Amazon sellers looking to sell. How it's changed over the last couple of years and how you see it going over the following few years.
So we see a very hot market with so much money entering into the play on a daily basis. This leads to a higher level of demand for those businesses, which is reflected by growing multiples with the time in a very dramatic way, I can say. So we see multiples going up a lot. We see deal cycles getting shorter, and we see multiple buyers fighting on different on the same deal. So that's where the market is at as of today. Very strong market.
Yeah, a definition of hot, that's for sure. So Joe, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, just some specifics. We've been at this for a long time, and each year we see the market grow 30-40%, but the FBA space has just grown tremendously. And it's because of all the aggregators competing against each other. And so I'm just looking over here at my deal dashboard, and this isn't the way it used to be, just for the record. We've had an average of 4.6 offers on every listing that we've had year to date. 1.1 LOIs year to date. That means 0.1 fell through, right? So generally it takes 1 LOI. Most of the time you're going to get all the way through to closing. Launch to LOI on average 42 days, LOI to close 40. And the multiples are definitely climbing. It's a good thing what's going on. It's a good time to be an FBA business owner because it's never been like this before. And I do expect it to continue for some time.
Yeah, that's great. Greg, what do you think?
Yeah, I got to echo those sentiments. I've been with Empire Flippers for about 5 years, and I remember, I'm sure Joe remembers too, back in 2016 when kind of the FBA stuff really started kicking off in a big way, and Amazon was like, "What are you doing? No, you can't sell accounts." We're selling businesses, not accounts, back in the day. And out of those 5 years, it was always much more of a buyer's market, but in the last year and a half, I'd say, especially in the last year, I've never seen a better seller's market. It's crazy. And similar to Joe, I don't see it going away. I think in a lot of ways, online businesses, especially the FBA right now, as having its time to shine, is kind of matching up with the old brick and mortar business valuations that you used to see back in the day, that internet businesses used to not really get because they were so young. I think that's changed dramatically. And yeah, if you're a seller and if it makes sense, I always say don't time the market, but if it makes sense to sell your business to reach a business goal or a personal goal, you couldn't ask for a better time to sell than right now.
You think the multiples will continue to rise?
I do. I don't think they're going to rise as dramatically as they have in the last year and a half, but I do think they're going to rise. I think the aggregators is a big part of that message, but I think all the hype and really cool, exciting things that the aggregators are doing, it's kind of trickling down to other investors. Like we've had a lot of commercial real estate investors, for instance, coming over and buying multiple $1 million deals, and they're just ultra high net worth individuals now coming over into our space for the first time and discovering it. So I think it's going to last for quite a while.
Wow, interesting. So Greg, let's start with you. We'll go back around the circle the other way. Sure. Your brother or sister is thinking about selling their Amazon business, and they want to get the most bang for their buck. What's a tip that you would give them?
Obviously very biased. I'm going to say, come and do an exit planning call with us, right? We'll help you out. And that doesn't just go for EF, but any reputable broker like Joe or Michelle. I think that's the first step, because that service is absolutely for free, right? There's no commitment by just doing an exit planning call. Outside of that, though, one of the best tips, and is the most boring tip, but is the best tip in my view, is get your profit and loss statement looked over by a professional bookkeeper that specializes in e-commerce. There's so many of them out there. You'll be glad you did. I see a lot of mistakes made in that department.
That's great advice. Joe?
Yeah, look, some of it's exciting, some of it's boring. The key thing you got to do, if I'm talking to a family friend or any entrepreneur on this call, is the sooner you start, the better. And there's a stigma associated with, is it Michael, and Greg? And myself, right? We're quote unquote brokers. I've had 5,000 one-on-one conversations with entrepreneurs over the years, over the last decade. It sounds like a lot, but think about how many I haven't been able to speak to. And it's because they're afraid to have that conversation, but you got to have that conversation. The earlier on you can have it, the more you can start to realize what you are doing right in your business and what you're doing wrong in your business. And odds are that you're doing more wrong than right when it comes to exiting at maximum value. But ultimately, like Greg said, you want to have that conversation, get your numbers right first and foremost. Most people don't understand the business value. In my situation, what I see more often than not is they often think it's worth less than it really is. They underestimate their seller's discretionary earnings. But you really want to set an exit goal. Pick a dollar. Say, I want to sell for $5 million. I want to sell for $10 million. I want to sell for $20 million or 500,000, whatever your number is. And then you've got to reverse engineer a path to that. You got to figure out where you are today, right? Because you can't get there unless you, at least with the most direct path, unless you know where you are. And that starts with a valuation of your business, really getting a firm handle on what your true and accurate seller's discretionary earnings are and what your current multiple range is. Without that, you can't chart a path to that. So you want to have a conversation with a professional. And again, it's hard to have conversations, right? We're all busy. So Don, I don't want to do it. I'm not pitching the book, but you know, I know Empire Flippers, they're writing a book as well. I talked to Joseph about it. They're going to come out with one as well, simply because like me, they're here to help. And we want to give as much information as possible out to people. We do it one-on-one free on calls, and the books that we have, that they'll have soon and that I have now, gives actually more information and more detail. So you're not drinking through a fire hose. So I would recommend either having a valuation call or pick up the Exitpreneur's Playbook and actually read it and digest it. I think it'll make a big difference in your life, either one of those things.
I would certainly read that book before I did anything else, just to understand the terminology that most sellers will not know, like sellers discretionary, was it discretionary profit?
Earnings.
So
that's
see,
the easy one.
It's an easy one, but there's a lot of things that most sellers are not aware of. And even the terminology, just to know all of that stuff before you go into it head first. It's like anything, educate yourself.
Yeah, and it's the deal structures, right? You know, knowing what you're getting yourself into, how long the process is going to take.
Yeah.
How to sleep at night after the deal is closed. So, you know, if you're getting some numbers on the back end, what you need access to in order to sleep better at night, because you'll have some sleepless nights if you're waiting on money 12 months out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mikal?
Yeah. So first of all, I agree with Joe and Greg. Selling a business is maybe a life-changing event. This is something that should be taken very seriously, of course. You can sell your business more than once, so you should better do it in the right manner. I want to add maybe to what was mentioned already, few aspects that many times are being maybe skipped by the sellers, and then they may create issues down the road. So one is tax implications. These are things that sometimes require to be prepared in advance. Sometimes you need to structure your business in the right way in order to achieve the best tax results out of a deal. And this is not something that always can be done at the very last moment. Sometimes it's too late whenever you come to take care of it, but sometimes you can do something in advance. So this is a very important thing to do. And the next thing is IP. You should better make sure that you are well protected as of the IP that is related to your business. So this is not only trademark, but also design patents or any issues that may come up with respect to these must be identified in advance and taken care of, because if these are discovered, and everything is discovered during a deal cycle, if these are discovered later on, then this really ends up with heartbreak and with lots of time and money. So you don't want to be there. And maybe the last advice, I don't want to, I mean, we can speak about it forever, there's so much things to say. Maybe last advice, which is really very important in my mind, is to consider seriously timing. You can never, timing is everything, you know, that's the saying. And there are many aspects that are related to the decision when to sell, if you want to sell your business, and if you do want, then when. Different aspects, different considerations may be relevant to different sellers. I think that this is very important to consult about it very seriously. So that's, you know, or maybe to add to that, you need to take into consideration the risks and the odds. You want to be aspirational to get the best result out of the process. At the same time, you need to manage your risk well. So these are things that should be considered thoroughly for each business separately. So everyone should make the homework about that.
3 great answers, you guys. That was fantastic. You know, just adding on to one thing that Mikal said, don't think that you'll be able to hide anything from the acquirers. They will find out everything. So, and if you're much better off getting it on the table, here's an issue that I had, blah, 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 whatever it is, put it on the table. you don't want to go through, months of work and back and forth. And then all of a sudden they say, well, why didn't you tell me this? This was important. And now there's a lack of trust, and boom, they're not interested anymore.
Don, I want to second that. It's called getting ugly fast. If you don't get ugly fast, if you don't reveal everything out there.
See, Joe, I got ugly slowly.
We all do. That's the result of aging. You're going to put yourself in a situation of due diligence where you're 3 weeks away from $500,000, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million, and you are going to be emotional. No matter what, your emotions are going to be high. And then your buyer is going to come in with, what did you do? No, we can't do this. Trust is eroded. That's the worst thing you can do. And they're going to be in a position where they might renegotiate just because they know you've got a weakness. It's not math and logic anymore. And that's what a renegotiation should be. You're off by 10,000, the multiple's 4, we're going to reduce the price by 40,000. That's what it should be. But they may sense weakness and go at you and try to walk away, or say they're going to walk away and try to get some more instant equity from you. So you got to get ugly fast and get the worst out, let them know what they are, so that you can have and maintain that trust the entire way through, even if there's a hiccup in due diligence.
Absolutely.
There's something what Joe said there made me think of as well. And it kind of similar with getting the words out there. Like, we always tell our sellers, just be honest, be as honest as you can with us, show us everything. And a lot of sellers, they don't want to say like what they're bad at, right? They want to like make their like, my business is absolutely perfect, right? But there's actually a lot of advantages by telling a buyer what's wrong with your business and being upfront about it, because that in a way builds the potential and the opportunity in the mind of the buyer. Like, say you have you're really bad with logistics, right? You've had some out of stock or some issues with it, right? And you're talking to a buyer who's really good with the logistics. Well, they're understanding what you're saying, like, oh, there's a huge opportunity here for me that makes me want to buy this business more now because I know this, right? So it's not always bad by revealing what's the weak areas of your business. Like, what's weak in your business is often the opportunity for the buyer.
Yeah. And also those aggregators, when the buyers are looking at that, and when you come and say that, I'm really not great at logistics, or I'm really not great at advertising, or whatever it might be, more times than not, I would be surprised if they don't come back and say, don't worry about that. We have a whole team that focuses on that. We're going to take it from here to there. Don't worry about it. But now it's on the table. You don't have to worry about it. So let's move on. And Joe, we're going to start with you. So these next two questions, I'm only going to ask you the one right now, but I'm going to give them both here. And again, these two questions came from the guys at Elevate. So I think it gives you an idea of what kind of people they are. They're just good, honest, put everything on the table. So the next question, excuse me, the next question is, what are the advantages of dealing with a broker? And the question after that I'm going to ask is, what are the advantages of going direct to a buyer like Elevate? So what's the advantages of dealing directly with a broker, Joe?
Okay. So I've been on podcasts where I've explained simple things like sellers' discretionary earnings to people that are experts in the field of selling on Amazon. Really smart guys, really successful at what they do. And then they try to reiterate what I said at the end of the podcast regarding sellers' discretionary earnings. And it made me realize how complex the topic really is. So the advantage of working with an advisor, as we call ourselves, is that we have been there. We have done that. And we're going to first and foremost make sure that the value is correct. But it doesn't start with, here's the multiple range that things are selling for. It actually starts before that with sellers' discretionary earnings and properly calculating it. There's 3 different levels of add backs that we look at. Below each level is 6 different levels in each add back, such as the cash back on your credit cards, or reward points that are converted, or SaaS expenses that are not going to carry forward to an aggregator because they already subscribe to Helium 10 or Jungle Scout, things of that nature. So you want to get the numbers right first, the correct seller's discretionary earnings right first. That's what's most important. It's not all about the multiple. You got to get that done first. And then we do manage the process the entire way through. First and foremost, we're going to put a nice package together. We're going to make sure we ask every question a potential buyer is going to ask. We're going to have it answered in writing, so it speeds up the process. Of course, they're all going to have non-disclosure agreements on file before they sign. But it's kind of like, let's say you're going to present your business to Shark Tank. right? You've all gotten the emails from the aggregators at this point. And let's say you just talk to one of them. It's a really bad idea. It's like going into Shark Tank and everybody calls in sick that day, except for Mr. Wonderful. You know it's not going to be a good deal, probably going to be a licensing deal, right? That's what he tries to do all the time. You really need to put a package together that goes out to as many potential buyers as possible so that they can absorb the material and come to the table with an offer or questions, and then an offer as quickly as possible, and create an environment where they know that there are other buyers. And in this case, as it said, there's 4.5, 5 offers per listing at this point. They know that they're there, but we're looking for not just the highest price, but the best deal structure, right? Mikhail said something earlier there that about what you're going to be left with after taxes. It's not total. It's not what your total selling price is. It's what you're going to get cash at closing, and then what you're going to be left with after taxes. So we're going to make sure you get the best deal structure, and we're going to expedite the process for you, especially during that due diligence phase when emotions can run so high. I had a deal a year and a half ago where it was just under $9 million, and the seller of the business had promised his top employee, a single mother who had been instrumental in his success, that he would buy her a house when they closed on the business. 3 weeks prior to closing, the deal fell apart, off the rails completely. His emotions naturally were very high. He, at that time, if he was on his own, would have said, oh, okay, I'll take $1 million less. Okay, I'll take a big earnout. Okay, I'll drop my pants and give you whatever you need. Let's just close, because his emotions were so high. Mine were not. I've done this hundreds of times. I've personally closed about 100 million in total transactions, and through Quiet Light touched a total of $500 million. We brought it back on track, back on the rails, got it through to closing, no changes to the structure. We just had to explain some details to the buyer about the things that they were seeing, and got them comfortable with it again. And that goes to what the unknown thing is. Look, at this point in my career, the math, the logic, the valuations, the details, it's all the easy part of what I do. It's all the easy part of what everybody on the team at Quiet Light does. The toughest part of our job, of Mikhail's job, of Greg's job, is when we're working directly with clients like yourself. Believe it or not, it's managing your expectations and, more importantly, your emotions. We do find that we need to be a friend, advisor, counselor, psychiatrist, therapist. Oftentimes, we've got people that are on the team that were originally my clients, and that's how they refer to me, as that I was their therapist through the whole process. All that other stuff is easy, but we've got to keep your emotions in check and on track, so we are getting you the maximum value for the business. So there's a lot that a broker brings to the table. Don't make the mistake of saying we're all entrepreneurs and we think we can do anything. Don't say, I've got this. You'll see it in the book. Don't be a Jackie, as we say in my household. That's short for jackass. The advantages of dealing with a buyer like Elevate Brands directly. It's a good question. I'm glad they asked it. It's definitely a tough one to answer for a guy like me in my position. If you're dealing with a company like Elevate, and there's 5 of them that you're dealing with, then you are going to make sure you get the best deal structure and maximum value. The great thing about them is that they are legitimate, mature, professional buyers. They're very likable. People have given them hundreds of millions of dollars to buy FBA businesses. So they're likable, they're well-educated, they're trustworthy, they have a process, and it's usually pretty streamlined. If you buy from an individual, if you sell to an individual, that due diligence process may be a little bit more rocky and take a little bit longer. But with a company like Elevate that's done it dozens of times, literally, it's smoother. It's a process that can run much quicker, and it will get you through to closing with much more confidence, and hopefully not as much of a emotional roller coaster as well.
Excellent. So did the woman get her house?
Yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Beautiful.
She did.
So Mikhail, how about you? The advantages of going to a broker, or the advantages of going direct to an aggregator buyer like Elevate?
Yeah. So first of all, it can be either broker or investment bank like us. I'll just add to what Joe mentioned, and he described it very nicely. So beside the fact that you need to be wrapped up with all the related, all the services and know-how which is related to such an important process, maybe I want to emphasize one point which is very important. Buyers that are out there, and we're talking about aggregators because this was your questions, they are highly professional. They have investment bankers in-house. Actually, I think that each aggregator, maybe the first department, the first team that they have in place are the investment bankers. They know how to do M&A. They are highly experienced with that. They know what deal structure here is, how deal financing works. And then they meet a seller. Usually those sellers are not as experienced, not to say that usually they're not experienced at all with selling their business. And the imbalance here creates a very difficult result, which must, the only way to balance it and to correct these differences of knowledge and know-how and understanding and experience is by actually acquire such knowledge and have by having your consultant beside you. You should pick the one that you can speak with, that you rely upon, but the role is crucial. So and then just to take the seller through the whole process, from the preparation through the any consulting which is related to preparing to the sale of the business, and then the deal itself, to create a kind of a competition between potential buyers. We call it a semi-auction that we're conducting to make sure that really a buyer can get the maximum price and the best deal terms when they sell their business. And then someone that will accompany the whole deal until its full closing, including taking care of the mini crises that usually are rising in any deal. Sometimes it feels that any deal which we close is a kind of a miracle. There's so many pitfalls, so many things that can happen.
Hey, Mom, how are you?
During the way.
Dealing with this heat.
Mark, you're on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he just yeah. So I think that if to sum it up with one phrase, then just balance the imbalance that exists between buyer and the seller here, and maybe something which is even more important to mention here, and maybe it would be more easy to remember. I think that Fortune 500 CEOs, when they want to sell their businesses, they will not do it themselves. They will take an investment bank to accompany them during the process, not because they're not experienced, not because they're not highly knowledgeable, just because there is a really important role to such kind of a consultant during the process, and the role changes as the market, according to the market term. Now, as for your question about selling direct to a company like Elevate, so I think that one advantage is time. This can be, you will not waste, so-called waste, or you will not invest the right time, the right and important time in order to be well prepared for the sale of the business, but you will gain in exchange a quick process, assuming that they are interested in acquiring your business. And I agree with everything that Joe said about Elevate. These are reliable people, smart, nice. I believe that they have the empathy which is required to the seller in such an important process. So in that sense, that's a trade-off. Doing a quick deal with a reliable and great buyer on the account of potentially maximizing your exit terms. That's the trade-off.
Beautiful, terrific. Thank you. So Greg, how about you? You want to jump in on that?
Sure.
You got it.
Yeah. So the advantages of using a broker, there's a lot of them, right? So when it comes to an entrepreneur who's a seller, that's why I like to call it a highlight event in their life. Like that's not something they're doing every day, right? That's something that comes by maybe once every few years. And if you look at our brokers, our M&A firm, for instance, I'm sure it's similar for my colleagues here, the vast majority of our repeat customers are the buyers, not the sellers, because the seller goes and sells a business, and then it takes them a couple of years to build up again. So all this leads to my point of this, highlight event where they often don't know what to do yet, and they don't really have the ability to be in the trenches to learn that because they're not selling the business. Selling businesses every single day, right? So there's like some common things that they do, like for example, most FBA entrepreneurs understand copywriting, understand the importance of knowing your consumer's desires and putting that marketing pitch there to sell your product, right? But when a seller goes to sell a business, they take this beautiful copywriting hat that they've honed and they just kind of throw it in the trash, and they just completely forget about the buyer, who's now effectively their customer, right? They're trying to position their business in such a way that the buyer has that high desire. And again, this goes into the emotional equity thing, which I think Joe's story really portrayed that well, where a broker helps you calm those emotions, which is a very emotional experience, right? And it could go on either side. Like I've seen sellers who go off to do a private deal. They try to sell for super, super high because they've overvalued their business because of that emotional equity. And a buyer is actually using a much more colder arithmetic, if you will, and they're like, why are they giving me this lowball offer when really they're overvaluing their business versus giving it a fair market price. So I've seen that on that opposite end too. Of course, sellers don't want to pay the broker the commission. There's a great myth that they'll make more money by going private than going with a broker. But I always give the advice is even if you absolutely like hate the idea of paying a broker commission, and you never sold a business, you most likely have a little side project. A lot of internet entrepreneurs tend to have one. Use that at least to sell with a broker, just so you understand the process, so you don't make common pitfalls, so you understand the basics of it. Then you can sell your big business without a broker if you want. But one of the biggest advantages I see for 7-figure and up, 7-figure and 8-figure, and even like high 6-figure sellers for using a broker is the ability to tap into a pre-existing buyer network. So for example, our buyer network has about $4 billion. It's almost $4 billion. It's like $3.8 billion of deployable liquidity to go and buy businesses, right? You get to tap into that right away, and you get to do something that's very, very important, which is make everyone compete for you. So in a private scenario, say Elevate or another aggregator came to you and they give you a deal, and usually aggregators going to give you a good deal. But they're not going to go to their competitor aggregator like, hey, we just made an offer on this business. Would you like to make an offer on it before we get done with this, right? Like that is a very unusual strategy that they probably are not doing. Versus if you use a broker, you get to have all the aggregators, including the new ones that have just raised money who haven't really created any other private deal flow yet, come and compete for you. And we've had aggregators literally say like, hey, if aggregator A makes an offer, let me know because they have similar criteria. I will beat that offer, right? So you can replicate that in a private scenario too. I'm not saying like the broker is the only way to do that. It's just way easier to use a broker to make that happen. So these are some of the big advantages of using a broker. We're in the trenches all the time. It's not a highlight event. We're doing it every single day of the week. So we've seen that the same mistakes a seller might make, 1,000-fold, right? So you get to really tap into that wisdom. That's a big part of why you pay our commission. That competition thing is huge. I've seen just recently happen where a seller, he got an offer, a private offer for $1.4 million. He came onto our marketplace because we told him we're pretty positive we can give you a much bigger deal than this. And it was still a good deal. Like, again, aggregators usually give good deals. They're not usually trying to lowball someone. But we ended up selling that business for $2.1 million. And that 1.4 original offer had an earnout component, right? Versus this one, which also had an earnout component, but it was $1.8 million upfront. So just the upfront amount alone, it was an extra $400,000 from this fact of trusting in an expert that can help you through the emotional equity process, the highlight process, and have this buyer network really compete for you. So those are like the huge advantages in my mind of using a broker, of having that trusted person with you. I mean, you guys had I think I always mispronounce the name, Psychometrics on earlier. Like if you wanted someone to run your ads, like this sounds great. You'd pay them a service, right? And we're very similar in that sense. You're paying an expert, is like your own M&A agency to go out there and help you, right? So those are some of the big benefits I see. Now, on the flip side here, the thing that I love about this question is because not everything is correct for everyone, right? Sometimes it makes way more sense to go private with an aggregator than with a broker. And I think my colleagues have done a pretty good job of explaining like the biggest benefit, which is time. So if you go with someone like us, you're not selling it right away. It's not going to be a 5-day, 6-day process, which some of these aggregators, sometimes it's even shorter than that, right? They're so streamlined, they're so professional, they have these systems in our assembly line almost. They can make that deal happen much quicker. And there are certain areas in an entrepreneur's life where that's very important that happens quick, because there's that opportunity cost, right? Maybe there is something outside of their business that they had this big injection of cash that they can go and get a really, really good deal. Again, though, I would highly recommend, if you've never sold a business, use a broker first, and then, just to learn the ropes so you understand how things work at a basic level. But if you need the money and time is a factor, I think going through that private route to Elevate makes a lot of sense in that regard. And the nicest thing about it is, unlike other high net worth buyers who are buying like 2, 3, 5, even $10 million FBA businesses, is an aggregator really knows what they're doing. Like they've been in the industry, right? They understand how it all works. And a lot of times, you don't see this with all buyers, most buyers you do, but I think it's especially apparent with an aggregator, is they want you to succeed. Like it's not like it's a zero-sum game. And we always say at our brokerage, we believe in win-win-wins, right? We get the buyer win, we get the seller win, and we win for that. But with aggregators, it's very similar. It's not a zero-sum game for them. They want the seller to win. So you're in a good hands situation if you do go private. So it just really is up to you. I think brokers can give you a lot more money. And I think an aggregator can give you a lot more speed. And sometimes that's going to be more important than the overall capital that you get.
Those are 3 great answers. Thank you both, all 3 of you. That was really fantastic. And I also want to thank Elevate for putting this panel together. It takes a lot of nerve to do this. This is great. And for putting those 2 questions in the list of things to put on the table. One of the things, surprisingly, you might think, when Jeremy was speaking in his session earlier, Jeremy from Elevate, is he said the worst thing a seller can do is come to us and say you're the only one I'm talking to. When a seller comes to us and says, I've already talked to 2 or 3 others, then we know that they're in the game, we're in competition, we're going to put our best foot forward, we're going to give them the best deal we can. But when they come and say, yeah, no, we only are going to talk to you, then it's a different ball game, and it's not necessarily the best thing to do. So even Elevate put the argument forth not to do that. So listen, we don't have a lot of time left. I want to finish up with just one quick question, and we'll go from top to bottom. Joe, Greg, Mikal, just one tip that you would give to a seller who's looking to sell, anything at all. It might be something that's already been mentioned or hasn't been mentioned, something that you think is very important for that seller to do. Joe, you're up.
All right, guys, we're having a beer. We're talking across the table. I'm just going to tell you not to be a Jackie. Don't do what we do as entrepreneurs and say, I got this. As Mikal said, people that are running $100 million corporations don't sell their businesses on their own because they know better. The difference is that those folks are CEOs, and they probably were not entrepreneurs first. They were employees or hired to run that company. And we have an affliction as entrepreneurs. We think we can do anything, and it gets us into the position that we're into today. But it can also put us in a position where we're selling our asset for a lot less than it's worth. As Greg mentioned, a situation where somebody got 2.8 for extra $800,000. We've had a similar situation. aggregator made an offer for 1.9. It was not Elevate. It was another one. We ended up selling the business for 5.5. We
Wow.
had 14 offers on it. So don't be a Jackie. Don't say you got this. It's what we do. It's not what you do. So let us help you make, more money for what is your greatest asset, your business.
Great, great. Greg, what would you add?
Yeah, it kind of echoing what I said earlier with the copywriter thing, taking off our copywriting hat. I implore sellers to keep that on, even when you're dealing with aggregators and you're a hot commodity. Everyone is coming to give you an offer, all that kind of stuff. Because even aggregators have different desires and long-term goals, right? So I always tell sellers, I think the big mistake people make is when they think negotiations, like, oh, it's this showdown, like this wild, wild west gunslingers, like who's gonna get the gun out first, right? When really it shouldn't be a showdown. It should be a collaboration. And that's how you're going to get the best deal possible. So if you understand their desire, where they're coming from, you can position your business in a better way or reframe the conversation to make them see your business in that way. And oh, okay, yes, this does get me much closer to my goal when you put it that way. I didn't think about it that way. And another thing on negotiations is flexibility. So it's similar to don't be a Jackie, as Joe was saying, is having flexibility, right? If your goal is to get the most amount of money up front, well, you're probably going to have to take a lower sales price of some sort, right? To get them in to give you that extra money. If your goal is to get the most amount of money up front, well, you need to be flexible in another way or most amount of money overall, rather, you're going to need to be flexible in terms of that earnout and that kind of deal structure that you accept. And as long as you're okay with that kind of flexibility, that fluidity, and you're thinking about it from a collaboration and not a showdown, I think that will serve you very well.
Excellent. And before you go, Mikal, just letting everybody in the webinar know that after Mikal answers this question, we're going to go to your questions in the chat box. So feel free to throw some questions in there. We don't have a lot of time, but we'll definitely do some. So Mikal, how would you answer this last question?
Yeah, so my answer will not be a surprise because actually I will reiterate in a bit of a different words what Joe and Greg answered. So I do think that getting the right consultant is very important. This is the one thing that you should do. It's a kind of a key that you need in order to make sure that you're dealing well with all other challenges that are related to the process. And about time. If you're not in a fire sale and you don't have to sell your business, let's say this is Sunday and by the end of the week the business must be sold, but you can wait just a bit more. I mean, it's not, in any case, these are short processes, even when these are conducted by us, for example. Then the next thing that you should think of is how to get the maximum out of this one-time sale of your business. And if you've been approached by two, three, 4, 5 aggregators, that means that actually you can conduct thorough discussions with potentially 50. And your role is to find the one buyer that will pay the maximum for your business. There is always one like that. So I would really use the advice of a good consultant to make sure that you find the one buyer for your business at this very moment that you decide to sell your business. And the last thing, enjoy the process. It's a great, these are great achievements that we see, we're lucky enough to see on a daily business. Very young entrepreneurs that really, it's amazing what is going on out there. So appreciate the moment and enjoy it.
That is great advice. You're absolutely right. Let's enjoy this. And before we go to the questions, I'm just going to finish up with a quick thank you to Elevate for sponsoring this and to AccrueMe. And remember, if you go to AccrueMe today and fill out the 3-minute application on the website, and get funded, you get an extra $500 that is not owed or anything along those lines. It just goes to you. So it's just an extra opportunity today. So there've been a couple of people who have come in with the same question, and I saw Joe answered it with a link And it's basically what's the range of fees that are charged by a broker as compared to an aggregator. So Joe, since you chimed in already on the chat, why don't you fill everybody in what your thoughts were here?
Yeah, we work on the modern Lehman scale, and we publish our fee structure. It's been the same since 2019. It's 10% on the first million, 9% on the second, 8%, all the way down to 3%. So the larger the transaction, the lower the overall average fee is. So on a $10 million deal, it might be 4.5%, depending upon some nuances to it. It's in that range. I shared the doc there. You're free to download it and view it and do whatever you want with it.
Greg, Macau, same thing or?
So,
go ahead, Macau.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You're welcome. No problem. You want me to start?
Yes, Macau, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. So so we have a fee structure which is kind of similar. It starts from 10% and goes down to 5%, depending on the deal size, and it is gradual. And I think that the question also referred to how much is the commission which is being paid by aggregator to aggregators or something like that.
Yeah. So do aggregators charge a commission? Is where I think.
Yeah. So. In our case, we're representing sellers only. We don't charge. We don't serve buyers. We don't serve aggregators, so we don't charge them. Aggregators themselves would not charge any commission, of course. Actually, they may be paying commissions to other in order just to be referred to potential sellers. So many times commission is out there, whether sellers are aware of it or not. And it's just a matter of who is getting the advantage or the reward for that commission.
Yeah, they do often look for a working capital peg, which we could call a commission. Greg and I and Mikhail could call it that, because we're going to be able to sell these businesses for the most part without a working capital peg. And many of them are looking for 1 or 2 or 3 months worth of inventory to be included with a sale. And that's changing a bit because of the competitive nature that's starting to go away. Mm-hmm. But they'll say, work with us, don't use a broker, skip the fee, and then you're really giving them a couple of months worth of inventory, which is probably going to add up to more than the fee. But you won't pay them a commission or a broker fee in the process of selling to them.
Thank you. Greg?
So our commissions are very similar to Joe and Macau. We actually just changed our commission though, so I can't give like a perfect breakdown. We have a commission calculator now because we transferred to a blended model. And the reason why we did that is we used to have a pricing tier model, but for our sellers who are like right on the upper edge of getting the next price discount on the percentage, they wouldn't because it was on a pricing tier. So we changed it to a blended commission to make it easier for them. But yeah, if people want to go check out our commission, it's just empireflippers.com/commission-calculator, and you'll be able to play around with it there. But in general, very similar pricing as what you just heard here. And yes, and just to echo on the aggregator thing, aggregators won't charge you a commission. The working peg thing, yes, that could happen. And there could be other hidden things in there where they will use like the fact that a broker charges a commission to scare you out of using a broker. Like, oh my God, why would I ever pay a commission, right? But there's usually some kind of either hidden fee in there or a sense of urgency. So that's something I've seen aggregators do too. Like, here's the deal, you have like 5 days to accept it. And a seller's like, whoa, I have 5 days to become like a millionaire with $3 million. Like, what do I do? You know? So there's like all sorts of ways that could happen. Elevate doesn't do that obviously, but I've seen other aggregators do that. That's what our payment is. Typically, the commission will be worth it in the end. Not always, of course, based off needs, but typically it'll be worth paying.
So, yeah, Greg,
I think that aggregators would prefer, Don, sorry to interrupt, to buy from an advisor like Greg, McCallum, or myself, simply because we put a package together and it's easier for them to make a quick and profitable buying decision. They reach out to all of you individually because there's simply not enough deal flow from all of us. They need to spend that money that they've raised, and that's why they're reaching out to you directly. But if they could buy everything from Empire Flippers and Mikhail or myself, they would. It would make their lives a heck of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Oh, so much easier.
Yeah, so much
Private
easier.
deal was hard to build.
And an extra level of due diligence as well.
Yeah.
So Greg, staying with you, one of the questions was on higher. Are the multiples higher in the U.S. or Europe or Asia, or is there a difference?
That's a good question. So the Asia market, I'm not super familiar with, even though I live in Asia. I have a lot of Asian sellers, like a lot of Vietnamese and Chinese sellers, but usually they're selling in the American markets. I can answer on the American and European markets, though. I would say the multiples are pretty similar across the board. And what's really interesting is this wasn't so much the case even like, I don't know, 8 months ago, but on the European side, you're starting to see it heat up dramatically now with even European focused and European based aggregators, as the US aggregators are starting to expand into Europe as well. So you see action on the ground out here in Asia, not so, usually it's not them selling in the market. Usually it's aggregators like setting up offices out here for like supply chain management and streamlining, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, European and American multiples, from what I've seen, at least in my experience, have been pretty similar.
Mikal?
Yeah, I tend to agree. There are no huge differences. At least there shouldn't.
Yeah. All right. Good. Joe, I assume you're on the same page there.
Yeah, they're starting to get equal, I think, as Greg said. For a while, selling a European FBA business was more difficult because the majority of buyers were US based, and were not comfortable with a stock sale, which the European business owner generally wants because of the tax situation, and it's an easier transfer of the FBA business. But with the likes of Elevate and Thras and everybody else that's got European branches now, we're definitely starting to see it become much more commonplace, and the multiples are very similar.
We've been seeing, this is one of more questions, but I've been seeing as well, Amazon sellers going out and looking and buying other Amazon sellers. Does it make sense for the sellers to buy another seller to get bigger so that, down the road, they do a mini roll up, if you will, within the same category? Does it make a difference if they're in different categories, or should they stay within the same category when they do their mini roll up so they can get a higher multiple? Mikal, does that make sense to you?
Of course. First of all, we haven't discussed any other buyers apart from aggregators, but of course, Amazon sellers are also buyers. We see them coming more and more. There are VCs, private equities, so different kind of buyers for sure. And as for your question about rolling up several businesses, either on the same category or different categories, and sell them together, for sure, with the right combination of businesses, this is just creating value by kind of business development. That actually we've done several deals like that, where we sold together competing brands in the same category, and the result was fantastic. And this is a real win-win. The buyer can dominate one category by holding few brands in it, and the sellers can benefit from this advantage by getting a higher multiple for the deal. So this is indeed something, and maybe a very good additional example of what a consultant has to contribute to a sale process. So part of it is the sales strategy, and there are these and many other things to calculate when you are considering selling your business. This is a part of it for sure.
Very good. So Joe, anything you'd add on that as far as sellers buying other sellers, doing their own mini roll up to get a better multiple?
Yeah. If you're going to do that, you may wake up one day and say, look, I need to take some cash off the table and just sell one of them. You just want to prepare yourself for that. So my advice would be that with each FBA business that you buy, you keep them in separate LLCs and separate seller accounts. You could merge all the numbers and P&Ls if you're going to sell as a package, if you're going to roll them up. You will get more value for it because it's a larger business that's more diverse, and therefore the risk is going to be lower and the multiple is going to be higher. That's the flat out business model of the aggregators. Just make sure that things are separate so that if you do wake up and you want to sell something because your kid got into Princeton instead of NC State, that you can pay that bill. Or if you need to just move on and one of them isn't performing as well. So you don't want to have one pulling the overall numbers down. You might want to just be able to sell that one off separately. Last thing I'd say is before you do that, make sure that you've got the capacity to do it. Make sure you know yourself personally, that your abilities are there, that you don't do it just because you can, right? You do it because you truly want to, and that you don't promote yourself to your own level of incompetence, right? You don't want to do that because then you're going to take your eye off the ball because the business isn't as fun anymore, and it's going to trend down. The overall value is going to go down.
Makes sense. And Greg, how about wrapping us up here with this?
Yeah, I agree with everything that was said. And to take a little bit of a different spin on it, there's a bunch of different buying strategy a seller can do. And a seller shouldn't limit themselves to thinking just Amazon FBA. For example, you could go buy, say you were selling blenders on Amazon. You can go buy a kitchen website that is like almost like a digital version of a culinary magazine, and buy that audience and build out an email list and benefit from this content site, driving all of this external traffic to your Amazon listing. And that site itself is probably already making money through affiliate links or display ads. Usually that's the way they're monetized. This is an awesome strategy because you get to double dip a little bit on your profit margin, as well as Amazon's affiliate program. And Amazon loves seeing buying traffic coming from offsite. They reward that. So that's a huge way a seller can really combine both of the best of both worlds, where there's more synergy versus buying like maybe a random brand that might not have that same kind of communication. Another thing I would suggest is a seller could buy other sellers without ever doing a roll up and still have an amazing exit. And it's using something I like to call the asset flywheel, where basically you build up a business, you sell that business, and you use the proceeds of that capital windfall to go out and buy a couple smaller businesses within a very similar vertical to what you're already doing. And the reason why you do that is because a business is already making money. It's a lot easier to go from say $5,000 a month to 10 grand a month than like 0 to 1, right? Because that traction is already there, and you can use that capital windfall from the sell of your initial business to open up that doors of possibilities to buy new businesses, grow them, scale them. You have the capital to hire who you need, and then you go sell those businesses, and you do the process over and over again. We have a lot of clients, a lot of buyers are non-aggregators that actually perform that strategy.
That's great. Well, I want to thank the three of you. This has been an amazing session, really. This has been great information, very real, lots of fun, some good stories. I will ask you to put your contact information in the chat so that people know how to reach out to you. And I just want to say thank you very, very much. And also thank you to Elevate for putting this session together above all and giving us some great questions. And also to Accrumi for putting the whole day on, and the additional $500 for anybody that goes to accrumi.com and completes the 3-minute questionnaire. And you'll find out exactly how much you're qualified for to grow your business, so you can sell at the highest amount you can. So with all of that being said, I'm going to turn it back over to Bob to finish us up and wrap it up. Bob.
Hey, Don, thank you so much. And Joe and Greg and Mikkel, my gosh, that was incredible. It's hard to describe the three of you in one. And I know you're not in one room. That might have been different, but the fact that we got all three of you together on one screen, what an incredible experience. What a wealth of knowledge you guys bring to the table. Thank you all very, very, very much. I'm sure you're going to be hearing from lots of our attendees today. So again, thank you. Best of luck in all that you do. Appreciate your time today, for sure.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Hopefully
Bob.
we can do it again.
Yeah.
All right. And Don, thank you for moderating that. Nobody could have done it better. I mean, that was awesome. Absolutely incredible. And I just want to thank all of you that were in attendance today. I hope you got out of this what I got out of it: an incredible experience, an incredible desire to grow, to build, to be more, to create that wealth for all of us and all of our families, that legacy that we're all looking for. We had some incredible presenters today, Rob and Jeremy. Thank them for being here today. Mark, obviously with AccrueMe and Pato, Sophia, again, McCall and Greg and Joe, all of you, thank you so very much. Now, I wanted to let everybody know that you're going to be getting an email from us with all of the contact information for the speakers. So if you want to reach out to them, that's why they're here. They're willing to help out. Take advantage of it. Again, don't reinvent the wheel. Take advantage of what we have to offer to give to you. Again, I want to reiterate, you got a little less than an hour if you want to take advantage of the AccrueMe offer, the free $500 when you set up your account with AccrueMe. Again, use OPM, leverage OPM, leverage the intelligence, the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom that we all have here today. You can click the link in the chat box. They went ahead and put it there. It's a 3-minute application, and you're going to know immediately what AccrueMe can actually do for you. Again, we are just so excited. Shout out to AccrueMe for putting this all together and Elevate Brands. Again, just a huge gratitude to all of you. Once again, thank you all so very much. My name's Bob. It was great being with you, and we will see you at the top. God bless.
Thanks, Bob.